All right, Shalom Israel. Welcome to another class. And we want to give a shout out to all the brothers out there in isbhpk, Houston, Virginia, Rochester, New York, California, brothers out in Guatemala, Cabo out in Guatemala, all the sisters and brothers that participate in this truth, spreading this gospel. We want to say shalom and shout out to all the brothers and sisters that maintain themselves and try to be good examples for those coming into this work as end samples of doing what's right, especially in these last days where we were just saying a second ago. You always notice in the summertime there's always an increased level of hostility and violent crimes. I mean, we're reading about crimes that are, just police just shot a 13-year-old kid here, had his hands up. He was shot, so he couldn't put his hands down, but didn't matter. He was telling them, I can't put my hands up, I'm shot. It's just ridiculous, man. And just all kind of craziness going on. People getting shot for no reason. Just road rage, just increased. In the summertime, it's just a lot of hostility, anger going on. I don't know if people's tempers are already flared or they're already fed up with what's going on the news. All they're hearing is bad news, and I don't know. We don't know what's going on, but a lot of times people bringing this energy home. And that's what we want to kind of get into is not to bring the wrong energy into your households, especially when it comes to adultery. So shalom, first and foremost, everybody watching.
Shalom.
My Waller's going to be help here, also assisting on the class. And that's something that we don't want to do, is bring negative energy to the household. So what we're going to get into tonight is about when adultery, the topic of the class is called When Adultery Hits Home. And that's the title. So go ahead and write that down. When adultery hits home. And that's what you want to be careful with. Whatever goes out at work, stay, don't bring any illicit behavior. Be careful what you bring into your households. You don't want to contaminate your relationships, contaminate your marriages, your friendships, your bonds. You do your best to stay strong out here, especially in these last days. We know we're in the last days. There's no doubt about it. So we want to give a shout out to those watching and stay strong. First scripture we're going to go to, because I know we started kind of late. Normally we start at 7:30. So let's go ahead and get started. My Water, you ready?
Come on.
All right. We got Romans chapter 7 and verse 1. We're going to start off with Romans chapter 7, verse 1.
Romans chapter 7, verse 1.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay. Romans chapter 7, verse 1. Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law.
But a lot of people don't know the law. We don't know. A lot of our people don't understand. We just think, we look at law like being the law of the land. Penal codes from different states, state law, federal law, city law. We don't know the law of the Most High. So a lot of our people don't look at marriage like the Most High looks at a marriage. A lot of our people don't look at relationships like the Most High looks at a relationship. We have the idea and the notion that, if I meet somebody, I'm involved with them, we don't see eye to eye, hey, we break up, we just on to the next one. By the time I even settle down to even get married, a lot of us have been through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, 20 relationships already. Before I say, I found the right one. We don't even know what marriage is or is constituted by in the Bible. So he says, I speak to them that what?
I speak to them that know the law.
And the problem is, a lot of us don't know the law. A lot of our people don't know the laws of marriage, concerning marriage, when it comes to what the Most High looks at as a marriage. Read on.
How that the law hath dominion over a man as long as he liveth.
Now the Most High is showing a parallel right here. He's showing that the law has dominion over a man. What?
As long as he liveth.
So he's showing a dynamic and a parallel between how a marriage between a man and a woman is also just as similar as the law of a relationship between the Most High, or the laws of the Most High and man. Read on.
Verse 2. For the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband, so long as she liveth. But
so long as he liveth.
So long as he liveth.
Read on.
It says, but if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law.
So how long is a marriage supposed to be lasting as in the eyes of the Most High, between a man and a woman.
As long as the husband is alive.
As long as the husband is alive, that woman is bound to who?
Her husband.
Her husband, that man. So with the Most High, when the Most High created marriage, this was supposed to be a lifelong pattern of consistent love, nurturing each other, developing and growth between each other. This is not something that's shortcut. It's not something that we're just giving this a try. We're going to try it out. We're going to experiment. We're going to enjoy ourselves a little bit, have some fun.
Or being boyfriend or girlfriend.
Right. That's not what the Most High created. It's not easy or light. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
It's not as light as we may esteem it to be. A partnership and a relationship is made to be a lifelong partnership, a lifelong relationship. Read on.
It says, but if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband.
Now, it's the only way out is that man passes away. Then she's no longer bound to that marriage. Read on.
So
but in the same sense, the law is in effect for us as long as we're alive. As long as we're alive, we got to follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. The laws are not done away with, just like the Most High doesn't disannul the marriage as long as that man is still alive on earth. Read on.
So then, if, while her husband liveth,
Go ahead.
she be married to another man.
So if by chance this woman is bound to this husband and this husband's still alive, and if she decided to marry or deal or sleep or lie down with another man, read on.
She shall be called an adulteress.
Because do you have a definition of adultery or adultery?
Con, I have the definition of adultery right here.
Con, give me that if you can.
Adultery. The sexual intercourse of any man with a married woman.
So if any man goes into this woman sexually, and this was a married woman, that has constituted that man and that woman as a what?
As adultery is the crime.
Is a what?
Is a crime of adultery in both.
It's a crime of adultery in what?
In both.
In both. So it's just not, oh man, that's
her.
That's her, man. That's because a lot of times may seem one-sided. Well, she's the freak of the week, and that's just on her. I'm just a player. She ran into a boss player, and she just got hit with some game, and hey, she got caught slipping. Your main thing is my plaything. Whatever people say. I don't. Stupid, corniness that people say as far as how they look at taking somebody's woman.
I took your girl.
Yeah. Because you a lame. Right.
She the things that they say.
Yeah, she chose me. But he said it's a crime in what?
It is the crime of adultery in both. You want this one right here too?
Yeah, go ahead.
The unfaithfulness of any married person.
It says the what?
The unfaithfulness.
It's unfaithful. So this woman has stepped out and dealt with a man that's not her husband, or this man has slid this other woman to himself that would belong to another man. He said because it's a crime committed in both. He says the unfaithfulness. Go ahead.
The unfaithfulness of any married person to the marriage bed.
So that's what adultery is. So what belonged in my bed doesn't belong in another man's bed. If this woman belongs to me, that's my wife. She don't belong in another man's bed. She doesn't belong in another man's house in another man's bed. That's my wife. And if I'm a man, I'm not supposed to have another man's woman in my bed. It goes both ways. It's not just. That's why I'm glad you brought out how it's in both. It's not just one-sided. This is what constitutes adultery. Is when both parties are involved sexually, but this woman belongs to another man. That's another man's wife. And then, or I'm dealing with another man's wife, and this woman is sleeping with somebody else that's not her husband. Then that's adultery, because that's not her husband. Because if that man is still alive, that's your husband. But because we're not taught these things, we don't know these things. That's why he said, I speak to them that know the law. The laws of the Most High wasn't given to us like we give them now through our platform. You know what I'm saying? We were taught, experiment, don't take it serious, have some fun, enjoy yourself, you know, and if it don't work out, move on.
Casually dating.
It was casually dating. It was something that was looked at as not being a lifelong commitment. Because if you understood that this was a lifelong commitment, you would think twice about laying down with a person. Especially if I knew or I know that I'm stuck with him, then there will be a lot more thought involved versus just the flesh taking over, and we just got caught in this heat of passion, and we just fell victim of just passion, and we just all over each other, just wrapped up in passion. Yeah, you didn't understand what the passion cost. You didn't understand what the passion meant, and how the Most High may have looked at the passion, or the one night stand, or whatever it may be. You don't know how the Most High looks at it, and that's why He said, "I speak to them that know the law." A lot of us don't realize that a relationship sexually is a lifelong partnership, and it's not meant to be disannulled, and it's not meant to be shared or broken like with another man's woman. I'm not supposed to be having another man's woman. You know, I send her back home on a weekend. You know what I'm saying? That's not supposed to be that way, man. So that's ridiculous. But read that verse 3 again one more time.
Romans chapter 7 verse 3. So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free.
She is what?
She is free from that law.
She is free from that law, right? Go ahead.
So that she is no adulteress.
Go ahead.
Though she be married to another man.
All right. So that's the only way that's the only option out of that relationship, is if that man passed, and then she's free to go deal with another man. And the Most High doesn't look at that as adultery. Now let's deal with the situation that was brought to Christ Himself. Let's go to John chapter 8. Start at verse 1. Let's go to John chapter 8, verse 1.
St. John chapter 8 and verse 1.
And you know why are we going through these topics? Because this is one of those topics that you're going to have to deal with if you're in a relationship. You're going to have this conversation. You can't be ignorant of these situations. You can't be ignorant of your part or what role you play in a marriage. You can't be ignorant in the fact of, you know, what my responsibility is if I'm married, as a woman or a man. I can't be ignorant of what I'm doing and saying and just getting caught up in the worldly aspect of dealing as casual fun. We're showing how serious the Most High looks at a relationship, how He looks at a marriage. So let's go to Romans chapter 8.
Romans 8?
I'm sorry, John chapter 8 verse 1.
Come on, St. John chapter 8 and verse 1. And Yahushua went unto the Mount of Olives, and early in the morning he came again to the temple, and all the people came unto him, and he sat down and taught them. And the scribes and the Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery.
It said this woman was what?
Taken in adultery.
All right, so we're going to get the details of how this woman was taken in adultery. Like I said, why are we going through this class? Because God forbid that it happens to you, and that you have to go through this as a person, that you have to go through this as a man or a woman, because it's not a comfortable thing to go through. It's not something you want to wish on anybody, because there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of confusion involved, especially if there's children involved. There's a lot of confusion involved. But if it happens, you still have to know how to function and what to do if it happens to you, or if you have to undergo this situation. You have to know what role to play and what mind frame to take if this situation befalls you ever in your life or someone you know. So that's why we have to kind of take this class into consideration and bring it out, because this is a fact of life. All right, so let's read this. We're going to read the details of how this woman was caught in the act of adultery. Read on.
Come. And when they had set her in the midst, St. John 8 and verse 4 now, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act.
This woman was taken in adultery when?
In the very act.
Now, if it was just a speculation, and it wasn't like evidence involved, then what would have the elders had to do if it was speculation?
Get witnesses.
They had to get some witnesses. Yeah. Right. First of all, they just couldn't pass a judgment on her
Yeah.
because they'd have to hear out the witnesses. Now, to prove that, go to Deuteronomy real quick. Go to Deuteronomy, and I want you to get Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 16. And then somebody else go to Hebrews 10, and I'll tell you what verse to get. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 16.
Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 16. And I charge your judges at that time.
They said, I charge your judges at the time, the rulers over the people. Read on.
Saying, hear the causes.
It says you got to do what?
Hear the causes.
So you don't just say, oh man, this woman is adultery, that woman's a freak, or that woman's this or that. No, you don't just believe that. You got to hear the causes. You got to hear the causes. Go ahead.
Hear the causes between your brethren.
Between your brethren. Read on.
And judge righteously.
And judge what?
Righteously.
So you just don't pass judgment because of hearsay. You gotta do an investigation. There has to be an investigation. There has to be a process. You have to hear both sides, both parties, all parties, and including witnesses. He said that you judge righteously. Read on.
Between every man and his brother.
Between every man and his brother. So the judges would have to hear this out and make a decision if this is true or not. But with this, in this particular situation, this woman was caught in the very act of adultery. There was no need for the judges to hear out a situation.
They are the witnesses.
They brought her because they caught her in the very act of it. So now go to Hebrews chapter 10 and give me 28.
Hebrews 10 and verse 28. He that despised Moses' law died without mercy.
It says, he that despised Moses' law, thou shalt not commit adultery, right?
Okay.
If I despise Moses' law, go ahead. Die without mercy.
Died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses.
All it takes is 2 or 3 witnesses to say, yes, I approve, I saw, I can recall that situation. I was there, I seen it, I knew what happened. 2 or 3 witnesses is all it took. No statement necessary. All it took was 2 or 3 witnesses to say, yes, I saw them doing whatever they was doing in the midst of adultery. Right? And that would have been it. So that's what we're dealing with right here in John chapter 8. Let's go back to St. John chapter 8.
St. John chapter 8 and verse 4. And they said to him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery.
They said this woman was taken what?
In adultery.
Go ahead.
In the very act.
So obviously you had the 2 or 3 witnesses there.
Yeah.
You didn't need to hear a statement. No, nothing was needed to be said. He was taken in the very act. Read on.
Now Moses in the law commanded us, that such should be stoned.
It says the law says that such should be what?
Stoned.
So what's the determination in the law?
You're gonna die.
You gotta die. Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 22. Read that. Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 22.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 22. It says, if a man be found lying with a woman.
If a man be found, just like this woman that was found, that was brought to Christ by the Pharisees. This woman was caught in the act. If a man be found doing what?
Lying with a woman married to an husband.
Go ahead.
They shall both of them.
They shall what?
They shall both of them.
Go ahead.
Die.
Now, what did you have right there in that definition of adultery? I like what you said right there. One more time in that definition of adultery.
The definition of adultery: the sexual intercourse of any man with a married woman is the crime of adultery in both.
In what?
In both.
So this is why in Deuteronomy 22 it says that what?
It says, if a man be found lying with a married woman to an husband, then shall both of them die.
Well, because popular culture, if you listen to popular culture and popular music, you would almost think it's a man's trophy for the fact that he got to steal away another man's woman. That was a trophy.
And they promote it.
They promote it. They sing about it. They rap about it. They dance about it. They glorify it. So and the fact that you weren't strong, your game wasn't strong enough. You wasn't strong enough as a man to maintain your woman. You should have, you was lacking. You wasn't treating her right. So she got took.
Therefore, the consequences is I take your woman.
I take your woman, right? But is that, how does the Most High look at that? You got the law. The law is right here.
It says, they shall both of them die. Both the man that lay with the woman.
It says both the man that. So it's not just one-sided. You just make it clear. It's not it's not a one-sided thing where, you know, that's just the woman's fault because she was the freak. No, it said the both of them. Go ahead.
Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman.
And the woman. Read on.
It says, so shalt thou put away evil from Israel.
And this is because you can't allow Israel to perpetrate, because you know what, if that is allowed, our people catch on to things and promote things as badges of honor. You know what I'm saying? Look at what I got away with, and we start to brag about, you know, what I can do, and I'm untouched and I'm ungoverned, and I can get away with these things because I'm that smooth. You know, I'm just a smooth criminal or whatever. I can get away with this because ain't nobody watching me. Nobody can control me from what I'm doing. I'm about, you know, hey, I get a thrill or a kick out of seeing how strong my game is. You know, boost my confidence up if I can pull another man's woman. We'll think that this is a thing to do or a fad. He said you got to put away that confusion, and you got to put away that sin, that crime, as soon as possible. That's why there's laws against it, because you don't want that type of energy running through your nation.
They even, it's crazy because
like it is now in our nation.
Yeah, they even make prank videos on it, just like promoting it. Like they make prank videos on talking to people, to a person's woman, like right in the public,
Face,
right in their face.
You know the scriptures say jealousy is the rage of a man, right?
Right.
With jealous husband, there's no ransom, right? You can't play with a man like that, right?
Right.
You only get pranked. you get ganked.
Yeah.
You know, you gonna get yourself hurt playing games like that, or putting a damn mannequin under the sheets in the bed.
Yeah,
people play these kind of games like, I want to see how much you love me, so I'm gonna flirt because I want to see what you're gonna do about it. I'm gonna flirt and I'm gonna play around with you. I'm playing with your feelings and I'm playing with your emotions to prove if you love me or not. Man, you playing with fire. You know, you playing with a man's emotions like that. It's both ways. You know, women take men out too. Out of jealousy. Happens all the time. Women take men out too. But you don't play with these things because this is confusion. So what he's showing is there's laws barring this kind of behavior. Amongst our culture, it is popularized. It is almost like this is acceptable behavior amongst our people in particular, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, about how I'm able to, my game is tight, I can pull your woman, and this is glorified in music and song. It's ridiculous. Go to Leviticus for me, chapter 20, verse 10, and somebody else go to Exodus chapter 20, verse 14.
It's also part of the curses. You know, say a man will take your woman. That's part of it. Deuteronomy 28 and 30.
Yeah. Another man shall lie with.
Yeah.
Thou shalt betroth a wife.
Yeah, betroth the wife.
Yeah, that's not a blessing. That's a curse, man. It's not a blessing, man. Read that right there. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10, and somebody else would get Exodus chapter 20, verse 14.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress.
It said the adulterer and the what?
Adulteress.
Go ahead.
Shall surely be put to death.
That's why it's not picking sides, man. He's not picking sides on who's innocent and who's guilty. It's not even a question. The Most High is constituting both parties, because it takes two to tango. The Most High is constituting both parties as guilty, and there's a repercussion for that behavior. It's not just one person's issue. That's a two-person crime. They're both accomplices in this crime.
On the man and woman's behalf.
Yeah, so I didn't know what I was doing. You know, he took advantage of me. You know, he gave me. No, you know.
What if a man say, I didn't know she was married? Or
that happened.
A woman say, because they say it all the time.
Because you know we play with the definition. Like the Most High said, my people rest my words every day.
Yeah.
Rest means to twist. That's where you get the word wrestler, like you twist. So he said, my people twist my words. Well, you know, I never said I was married. I said I was dating.
Right. That's
a different definition.
Or it's complicated right now.
Yeah, it's complicated.
That's the
you know, I was just seeing somebody.
Or we just talking.
We just
Just talking. It's nothing serious.
It's not serious. It's casual. We're just friends.
Break.
Oh, we're just friends. That's a great one. We're just friends.
Yes.
Well, what the definition of friend is wide ranging.
Real wide, right?
That's varying. That doesn't mean a commitment. That doesn't admit that there's a marriage here, that we're dealing with each other? We just started talking.
Yeah.
Oh, they brand new, so it really don't count. It don't count. Because they ain't moved in together yet. It don't count. They're not living together
There's
yet.
no ring on their fingers.
There's no ring on the finger, so it don't count.
It's free game.
Free game. Yes, sir.
The funny thing, when people say it's complicated, you look at the definition of complicated. Complicated. Interconnected parts.
So they're still saying what? We're still what?
We're still dealing with each other.
We're still dealing with each
Still
other.
interconnected, bro. We're still
Yeah.
connected.
So when I say it's complicated, I'm still putting myself as a guilty person in this act, because I'm still involved. So from there we went to Leviticus 20 and 10, right? Exodus 20 and 14. Who has that?
Exodus 20 and verse 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery. That's it.
That's real simple.
You want to pull Deuteronomy 5:18?
Yeah, go ahead. We can get that.
Deuteronomy 5 and verse 18. You got it?
Go ahead, take it.
All right, now. It says, neither shalt thou commit adultery.
No, it's just a part of the law, the commandments of not committing adultery.
Yeah.
You know?
You want to go into why? Well, we know why.
Yeah.
Because the Most High said that it defiles the bedroom when another man is taking on. Matter of fact, we're gonna go into that a little bit. But first and foremost, let's go to. I like what you're pulling. Let's go to 1 John 3 and 4 first, because we got to understand what it is.
1 John chapter 3, verse 4.
Because a lot of people don't know what it is. They don't know what this complicated, intertwined relationship is by definition. If I'm dealing with a woman, or if I'm engaged to a promise to a person, that person is considered off limits to another person. Read that right there.
1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law.
Why is that? Read on.
For sin is the transgression of the law.
So we just read in Exodus 20 and 14 that thou shalt not commit adultery, and I commit adultery. I just broke the what?
The law.
I just broke the law. Now is there a repercussion and a price to pay for breaking the law?
Of course.
Which is what? Go to Romans 6 and 23. What is the repercussion and price that you pay for breaking the law?
Romans chapter 6, verse 23. It says, for the wages of sin is death.
And this is why in the Old Testament it says they both had to die, because that was the price that you pay for sin. Sin has a price. I just can't sleep with another man's woman and there's no price to pay. I just can't be a woman and sleep with a man that's not my husband and there's no price to pay. So all sin has a cost. All sin has a price. So a lot of us, we don't want to pay the price, so we twist up what we're doing. We try to miscalculate or try to not identify as being a sinner. So we try to change the meaning and alter the understanding of what it is that I am involved in, as to avoid or to evade consequences. I'm just talking. We're just casual, but that's what we do. Well, it's still a law. If I'm sleeping with this woman and that's another man's woman, that's the law being broken. I'm transgressing the law. My life is on the line. We don't take these things as serious as what it is. Now let's go back to St. John chapter. Unless you want to bring out something that you mentioned.
No, I'm away.
All right. Let's go to St. John. Back to St. John chapter 8, and let's pick up when verse 5.
St. John 8 and verse 5. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what sayest thou?
He said, but now they want to know what Christ has to say about it. Now we know that this was just a way to try to get Christ caught up in tempting him to be in violation of the Most High's commandments.
To be anti-Moses.
To be anti-Moses, anti the Most High, to get him caught up in blasphemy and put him to death. This is just an excuse and a test for Christ to see what he thought about adultery. Or is your perspective the same as the Most High's and Moses' law concerning this particular behavior? What's your take on this behavior? What's your opinion on this behavior? How do you look at this act that this woman is caught in? How do you look at her? Do you look at her the way Moses looked at her? What the law of Moses said? Read on.
Verse 6. This they said, tempting him.
They did what?
Tempting him.
Right.
That they might have to accuse him.
Go ahead. Trying to get him caught up. Go ahead. As if his definition of adultery would be different from Moses. Go ahead.
But Yahushua stooped down, and with his finger wrote on the ground, as though he heard them not.
And he gave him the silent treatment. I'm not answering you. I'm not answering that stupid question. That's a stupid question. But he's not answering it. But go ahead.
So when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, He that is without sin among you.
He said, he that is what?
He that is without sin among you.
And he was talking to the people in particular that brought the woman to Christ to have her stoned. He was talking to that entourage of individuals that brought the woman to him. He said, he that is without sin among you. So he was being specific in his message. He says among you. So he was talking to the group.
Yeah, the group.
Read on.
Let him first cast a stone at her.
He said, you be the first one to put her to death. If you're without sin. You be the first one to cast a rock. Throw it first if you're perfect, or if you're without sin. Read on.
And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. And they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience.
It says being what?
Being convicted by their own conscience.
So they got convicted by their own what?
Conscience.
That what? How would they be convicted by their own conscience?
Man, yeah, no, I was thinking last week.
They got hit.
I can't do it.
They knew they were guilty.
They got guilty.
He got me on that one. He caught me up on that one.
You know why? They just hadn't got caught yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody just brought them before to be stoned.
Yeah.
You know, because there's things that we do within ourselves that nobody knows about that deserve to get stoned. That's why they said, you know what? Let me put this rock down. Because you know what, that was wonderful what we're reading about. Because yes, did the woman commit a sin?
Yes.
God.
Is she deserving of death?
By law, con.
By law, is she deserving of death?
God.
Did she make a mistake?
God.
So was Christ wrong by saying, he that is without sin cast the first stone?
Wow.
No, throw the rock at her. If you feel you're so justified, then throw the rock at her. Yes, sir.
With that parallel, when Christ said in Matthew, I think it was 7, talked about it, you'll be judged by the same measure if you judge others.
Yeah, if you judge others, yes, you will be judged by the same measure. But what he showed them was an instant awareness of their own issues, and that's what people don't have. People can see issue and fault in other people easily, but they don't have an inventory of their own issues. They don't have an inventory of their own problems. And all Christ did was just make them take inventory. Take inventory on yourself. Why don't you look at yourself for a second? You can always see what's wrong with somebody else.
Yeah.
But look at you. Yeah, okay, she deserves to die, but who doesn't?
So they lacked it self-analyzation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They weren't aware of their own issues. They weren't aware of their own criminology.
Right.
Then I'm a criminal. Then I'm guilty. And then I deserve death. But I can see it in other people.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for that wisdom that he came back with, to have somebody reflect and look at themselves, they would have commenced and continued with the stoning of this woman. Because that's how that's the law.
Yeah.
But that's the law. But go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, is that what it means? I'm not gonna pull it, but 2 Corinthians 10:6 on your point about not self-analyzation. Does that mean in this scripture right here, and having in the readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled?
Right. You shouldn't even be looking at anybody else's disobedience, because you're not qualified to look at anybody's disobedience. But you haven't looked at your own.
Because you haven't mastered yourself.
Right. You haven't looked at your own disobedience. You haven't removed your own flaws necessary enough to really be able to be a quality judge, a righteous judge to other people, to be able to determine who is at fault. And that's why I said, continuing in Matthew 7, about removing the beam, or the mote that's in your eye, while you observe the beam that's in your brother's eye, or remove the beam that's in your eye, and you see a mote in the brother's eye, or a piece of straw, or just a little simple speck of dust. You can see the dust in somebody else's eye, but you got a whole piece of timber, a log in yours, a telephone pole in your eyes. But you can see the smallest problem with other people. And that's when that brings it to mind of what you bring it out in Hebrews about how people are misguided in their judgment. And they're misguided in their judgment, and they think they're righteous, but they're full of guilt. And this is what Christ was just allowing these people to see in themselves. Yes, sir.
On that point, because when you're talking about judgment and correction, you know, there is 2 Timothy 4:2 says to be instant in season, out of season. But when you're in a situation of authority, I'm putting quotes, and you're correcting someone, but you yourself may have guilt, or you yourself are not perfect in your, I guess obedience, because you've previously sinned, or you've been a sinner in the past. None are righteous. We're all sinners. How do you get past that, and not be in the Pharisees position where it's like, I know I've done wrong in the past, but I have to check your offness or your sin right now so you don't do worse. How do you kind of counteract that while you're still
full of flaws?
Exactly.
That's why the best thing you do is report it to somebody else. Report it up. This is why we always say before you deal with a brother on a situation that you may have not mastered, if I'm just as guilty as the man I'm trying to point out and say you need to make a change, then I need to just go ahead and report this. I'm not qualified in this particular realm to try to. Now I'm not. The scriptures say admonish your friend, and maybe you have not done it.
Exactly.
You still admonish your friend, but you, like my Willa just brought out, you be the biggest hypocrite in the world, trying to tell somebody what not to do, but you're just as guilty.
Yeah.
And so the best thing to do is to pass it up and be like, hey, this brother he might need to make this change, or he might be. There's some advice I have there's something I've seen that may not be right, but hey, I'm not qualified to bring this out because this is not something that I fixed in myself.
Otherwise, you get brought out for it. You get brought out, then you're gonna get hit up the board.
Yeah, you know, it's gonna blow up on you. It's gonna blow up on you. It's gonna backfire on you. Now, that's usually what happens too.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Con.
I wanted to ask, how, if you have someone that is trying to guide you and help you, and they may have not mastered, or they have flaws, and you want to use their flaws, like let's say for example, a husband to a wife. I'm going to see my husband issues, but now he's trying to tell me what I need to do. How do I frame my mind to, like, I guess, get the message? Or should I say, well, you're not in order, I need to go and talk. It says that when you're supposed to be learning from my husband, how do you place your mind to be able to take the message, being that we all have issues?
Now, if I can understand you correctly, somebody go to Ecclesiasticus and Apocrypha. Go to Ecclesiasticus and Apocrypha. Based on the sister's question, she was asking if I'm a wife and I have my husband dropping orders on me. You know, we're not saying no names or nothing. We're just, this is anybody in any situation, especially in a couple. It happens all the time. If I'm a wife but I'm getting direction or even correction from a husband whom I may be able to see flaws in this husband, how am I supposed, what mind frame am I supposed to gear myself towards in receiving correction from somebody that I see flaw in? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 40 verse 19.
40 verse 19. God. Ecclesiasticus chapter 40 and verse 19. Children, and the building of...
I'm sorry.
God.
Give me
And to add to that, for children too.
hold on. Yes, continue. Children, continue.
Children, and the building of a city continue a man's name.
So a man having an inheritance to pass down what he's built and pass down the fruit of his labor for his family and his children's children. That's great, because he can continue his name on earth. That's great. To pass what you have down to your children, they continue it. That's great. Read on.
But a blameless wife.
It said, but a what?
A blameless wife.
It says, but there's something even more better than a family and a husband and wife passing down children, an inheritance to children. He says, better than having a household that can continue a name. The name, the continued name is great. He says, but there's something that's better than within that family structure that needs to be identified and employed. He says, you can sit up. You can sit over there. You can sit right there. Yes, sir. So he said what?
But a blameless wife.
It says, but a what?
Blameless wife.
But a blameless wife. Go ahead.
Is counted above them both.
Is counted above them both. Meaning what? Counted above who? Let's get the brother Apocrypha. Tell him where we at.
I got you.
You got it?
Yep.
What page we on? In the red Apocrypha.
And the part from around 95. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna get that to you. Read it one more time and let everybody know where we at, what page we on.
In the red Apocrypha, we're on page 95. This is Ecclesiasticus 40 and verse 19. Children, and the building of a city.
It says both children having a family is great. Hold on, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Continue. I got it.
And the building of a city.
And you know what? Building a household, building a family, that's great. Read on.
Continue a man's name.
And it continue a man's name. I got a legacy. I can pass down my legacy. Read on.
But a blameless wife.
It said, what's better than children and a man building a city to pass down his name?
A blameless wife.
Meaning what? That there's a power of being blameless that's strong and stands out better than just a woman having children and having a household for a man to pass his name down. What he's showing is that he said a blameless woman is chief, or she's better than. So it's almost the best thing that a man can have, even over his children or passing down his name, is a woman that's without fault. That's why it says in Ecclesiasticus chapter 26 verse 1, he says what?
Ecclesiastes 26 and verse 1. Blessed is the man that have a virtuous wife.
It says blessed, that's a blessing. Because you know what is hard to find? He's showing how hard it is to find a woman who understands the power of being blameless. That you know what, I'm gonna stay in order. And I'm not gonna look at my husband, even if I can see his flaws, I'm still gonna focus on what? My flaws. I'm gonna focus on me being in order. Not so much about what he's doing wrong. It's not me putting him on blast and showing how are you qualified to rule me as a husband, but I can see all your dirt, and I can see all your weaknesses, and I can see all your vulnerabilities, and I can see all your slothfulness, and I can see what other people don't see, because I see you behind closed doors. I see you where other people aren't always privy to. I see what you really do at home. I see the times you put the Bible down and you pick up the remote. I see the time that instead of studying, you pop open a drink. Or I see when you go to sleep and everybody else the house still needs to be focused on and attention needs to be given to. But you lay up and you kick your feet up. And you don't maintain the same discipline, and you don't practice what you preach. I see the hypocrisy in you as a wife to a husband. But you know what the Most High is looking at? Regardless of what you're thinking in your mind of how this man is off, the Most High is judging, are you blameless? Do you recognize how powerful it is for a woman in a relationship, a wife in a relationship, to be blameless? Can you recognize how great the Most High sees that? Because that, if you did, you wouldn't even be looking at or worried about what this man is doing or not doing, or what he's falling short on, or what he's not keeping up on the end of his bargain, or what he's failing in the household, or what he's failing at as a man or in life. Are you blameless? Because there's a power in that. And a lot of times women don't understand that, but for those that do, that's a wonderful thing. That's one of the best things she can do to bring to the household, even better than bringing forth children. It's for the fact that she can understand how the Most High views her being blameless. 26 and 1 says what? We're in what page?
Page 86 of the Red Book, the Apocrypha. Ecclesiasticus 26 and verse 1. Blessed is the man that have a virtuous wife, for the number of his days shall be doubled.
Because you know what? If a woman understands the power of her being blameless, she can do what to a man's life? She can do, say it again? No, she can destroy it. She can destroy it. She can destroy it, but in this particular verse, she can destroy it. And I'm going to show you how. I want you to go in the same book you got. Go up to the top of chapter 25. You're in chapter 26. Go up to chapter 25 and read verse 23. It's right at the top of the page, verse 23. You see it? All right, let's talk about that. Read that. So, read on. Read that in 23. Yeah, you got it.
A wicked woman abateth the courage.
A wicked woman takes away the courage from a man. She steals away the confidence of a man. She can destroy a man's confidence. If she's not in this corner, she can, and she with her words, she can destroy and cripple a man and crush a man's soul with her words. That's the power that a woman has. A woman don't necessarily have the strength in equivalence to what a man possesses. But one advantage that she does have is that that tongue is powerful. That tongue is mighty. And what a woman says can crush a man's bones and destroy and take his courage. Where he don't feel like a man. He don't feel as strong as he need to feel. He feels less than a man. He feels weak. He feels like he can't keep up and he's insufficient. Read on.
A wicked woman abateth the courage.
She steals away the courage from a man. Read on.
Maketh an heavy countenance.
And it makes a man sad all the time. He got a dark cloud around his head everywhere he go. I don't know if y'all, I don't know what I was scrolling on. And this young Judite dude looked like he was in a hotel room or looked like he was in his house or something. And he was singing a song. He had no shirt, a little skinny little Judite dude. He was singing. Is that him? He was singing a song.
That's funny. Hitting the head up.
And then all you see is like a woman with a mop on her head. Damn, one of them grandma scarves. I don't even know.
Bonnets.
The bonnets, the grandma bonnets. She just came out the bed like Mumra off the down out of a tomb or something. She just came up out the bed, slapped the dude on the head, pow! And he was just holding back his tears. He was blinking.
You can see the tears that he was holding in his eyes.
Yeah,
he was about to cry.
He was crying on the inside.
That's hilarious.
You know, and he kept singing. He pushed through it, and he finished the song. He was like jamming to the song. And y'all know what I'm talking about. My won't even know his name, man. You know what I'm saying?
I actually went to school with him.
You went to school with him?
Yeah.
Man, you should have called him. You should have called him, man. You need to call him. You need to call him, man.
You making us look bad. you making Flint look bad.
You need to check on him. You need to check on him, bro. Y'all seen the video? The Toxic Drake went to school with him. I didn't know that. Small world, bro. So the dude just pow. And he just kept singing. And at first I laughed like, man, what is this, a stunt? What is this, a joke? But then when you look at it again, and you see all the tears in his eyes, and you see he was crying. That was what we saw in that little 30-second clip was a glimpse of the abuse that this man receives on a daily basis. That this man receives on a regular. This man receives this kind of treatment all the time. You just got a chance to see a glimpse of the physical abuse. And the fact that this man oh man, hold on, man. Hold on, let me get this verse real quick. You didn't mess me up, my woman. Hold on, bro. Hold on. What song was it he was singing?
It's a song by Kali Uchis.
I don't even know who that is.
It's okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I do know this. You're in Ecclesiasticus 40, right? Who had Ecclesiasticus 40?
I had it.
Read hold where we at. Hold everything we at. And go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 40, verse 20.
Ecclesiastes
Hey,
chapter
tell
40
what
and
page
verse
we on.
20.
What page are we on?
And that's page 95.
Page 95 in the red apocrypha, which is also part of the Bible. We'll explain it in a minute. Go ahead. Ecclesiasticus chapter 40, verse 20. Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 40 and verse 20. Wine and music.
You know what? Drinking and a good drink and music does what?
Rejoice the heart.
Yeah, so you know what this dude was doing? This dude was playing his favorite song to try to make himself feel better. Because that's what a lot of people do. They got a crushed soul. They try to listen to a lot of music to try to be inspired by the music to feel better. I'm trying to look for something to make me feel better. So I'm listening to music, I'm drinking because I want to feel better about myself. Because my confidence is low. Because I have low self-esteem. He said wine and music does what?
Rejoice the heart.
Yeah, that's great. And you could see that this dude was depending on this song to get him through the abuse. He was depending on this song to get him through the pain. Read on.
But the love of wisdom.
It said, but the what?
Love of wisdom.
It said, but the love of wisdom. Read on.
Is above them both.
It's better than wine and music. But a lot of people depend on drink, and a lot of people depend on music to get through the day, to get through their troubles, to boost themselves up and to make themselves feel better. But there's nothing better than the love of wisdom. Because what the Most High has to give you is far greater than wine or women or music. So let that go and go back to where we was at in Ecclesiastes 25 and pick up again on verse 23 one more time.
Ecclesiastes 25 verse 23. This is top of page 86. A wicked woman abated the curse.
It said, but a woman that's not in a man's corner tear a man down. And I just saw that for the first time, that video. And it hurt me to watch that man's pain. It hurt. I felt that man's pain getting walloped upside the head. But it goes both ways. Read on.
Maketh a heavy countenance.
And that's what it does. It makes a sad countenance. Read on.
And a wounded heart.
And it makes a wounded heart is a person that's depressed, that walks around with anxiety and depression. Somebody that's sad all the time. And they don't know what's wrong with them. You know what's wrong with them? They're attached to the wrong woman. They don't have the right woman in their corner. Because if you got the right woman who understands the power of being blameless, she adds value to your life. She's an asset, not a liability. Right. Now jump on down back to 26 and 1.
Ecclesiastes 26 and verse 1. Blessed is the man that hath a virtuous wife.
And that's why the Most High says when a man has found a good woman, that's a good thing, that's a blessing. Because she's not going to tear him down. She's not going to tear him down with her words. She's not going to tear him down with her tongue. Also, she's not going to tear him down based upon all the things that she sees that he does wrong, that he's guilty of. Because that is possible for a woman to tear a man down because he's wrong, he's guilty. But you know what? Even if the man is wrong, you had wanted to bring out Matthew chapter 23.
God. Matthew chapter 23 and verse 3.
And this is what page in the Blue Bible?
Page,
if you got the Blue Bible,
470 in the Blue Bible. Page 470 in the Blue Bible.
You got the Blue Bible, it's on page 470. You can let that go. Page 470 in the Blue Bible. Read that. Matthew 23. Go ahead, my boy.
God.
No, I'll read it for him.
Go ahead. You got it?
Matthew chapter 23, verse 3. It says, all therefore whatsoever they bid you observe.
God, so on Samson's point between a husband and a wife, the woman's supposed to submit to the order of what the man's supposed to, as far as following the orders. Read.
That observe and do.
Right, so the woman's supposed to be in subjection as far as following what he says and do it. Anyway, read, continue.
But do ye not after their works.
Right, their works meaning their examples. You're not supposed to, even though that you see some type of hypocrisy or some type of flaw or mistake.
You said it right. Hypocrisy being that this man he's trying to tell me what to do, and I see all the things that he don't do right.
Yeah.
But he's trying to tell me what I do wrong.
Okay.
That's hypocrisy. Man, you're the biggest hypocrite because you try to steer me in the right direction, but I watch all the things you do wrong.
Right.
But this is when Christ said what? For all that therefore whatsoever they bid you. Go ahead.
It says, "But do ye not after their works, for they say and do not."
So what does that mean?
That means that you're supposed to submit to what they say
As a wife,
as a wife, to
even
a husband.
even if they are hypocrites.
Right.
He's just saying it's for you not to be a hypocrite.
Right.
If you're in a situation as a wife and you got to listen to a hypocritical husband, just make sure you're blameless.
Right.
Because there's a power in that.
Because it does say it's better to obey than to sacrifice.
Yep.
So it's better to obey your husband versus, okay, I see him in the worst light.
Yep. Or I'll only listen to what he say sometimes. But it's, to me, in my mind, he's not worth listening to. He said, but they say and do not. Read.
Verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 4. Matthew chapter 23, verse 4. "For they bind heavy burdens."
And as a husband, he might put a lot of weight on your shoulders as a wife. And it looks like he's getting away scot-free. And he doesn't have to do anything. And all the labor of the house is designed for you to carry it. Because that's what it's always seems like there's an unfair exchange of labor and duty within a household. It's always unjust how I have to be the one to carry the responsibility of the maintenance, of the care, the upkeep, the planning of the household, and this guy just gets to come home and lay up and kick his feet up, eat all the food, dirty up clothes, not respect everything that I just cleaned, dirty up everything I cleaned, and reversed all the cleaning that I did, and then go to sleep. And then I have to get up and cater to him, and it feels like it's unfair. A woman may feel like she's in that position, and that rides heavy on a married woman. Because there's always seemed like there's an imbalance in responsibility. But what Christ said is, whatever they tell you to do, do it. And if you feel like they're hypocrites, you just don't be a hypocrite. That doesn't mean that two can play at that game. Since you're going to be hypocritical, I'm going to be hypocritical. So I'm going to stage a quiet riot or a rebellion, and I'm just going to be silent, and I'm just not going to do nothing. Then I'm going to let the dishes pile up. I'm going to just let the laundry pile up, and I'm just going to let the dirt pile up, and we're just not going to do nothing. We both going to be lazy together. You know what? That doesn't fix anything either. Or I'm gonna repeat everything you do to me. I'm gonna do it to you. That doesn't fix anything either. See, a woman's power is being blameless. That's why we read that in Ecclesiasticus 40 and 19. Most women underestimate the power of being blameless. How the Most High esteems that even over her having children, or leaving something in a man's name. Because ultimately the Most High is judging her behavior within the situation, and that's what the Most High does to us all. He's always judging us within the situation, our behavior within it. But when you get a relationship, hey, that's what you bought. You bought this. This is what you paid for when you got married. When you decide to sleep with this person, this is what you got. You signed that contract when you laid down and slept with this person. When you two people through sexual intercourse laid down in a bed together and was constituting the eyes of the Most High as married, you're responsible now. This is the part of your bargain that you have to upkeep. You didn't think twice about what you actually were getting and what you had. You didn't think twice about what you got involved with, who you got involved with. You just saw the exterior. You saw lust. You did no examination. You took no spiritual inventory. And now you're mad about what you got. But this is why the Most High said this. Go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 36, verse 24. Let's get that real quick. Stay in Ecclesiasticus, and we're gonna get back to this point in just a second. The topic of the class is when adultery hits home. For those that just came in, when adultery hits home. The topic of the class is when adultery hits home, because hopefully it never hits your home, and it never hits your address. But if it does, then you need to know how to conduct yourself if it does.
Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 36 and verse 24. he that getteth a wife
It said the man that getteth the wife. Read on.
begetteth a possession.
What page we on in the red book?
92.
92. So page 92, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 36, verse 24.
God. He that getteth a wife begetteth a possession.
All right. So it says when a man getteth the wife, guess what you got? When it says a possession, it just doesn't mean something you own. That's not what it's saying. Meaning it's something you have to be what?
Responsible.
Something you have to be responsible for.
Maintain.
Take care of it.
It's something that needs to be maintained. It needs to be kept up. So it doesn't fix itself. It doesn't fix itself. Just like a car. A car, even if it's electric, you still got to plug it up. And you still got to change the tires. And if it's not electric, you still got to change the oil and change all the fluids. You still got to maintain it. It don't drive itself and keep itself up. It comes with labor. And that's what men don't understand sometimes, that if I got a woman, guess what? I got a portion of labor that's requiring my attention at all times. It needs to be maintained. It needs to be kept up. It'll break down just like anything else will break down if you don't take care of it. Everything will break down if you don't take care of it. Yes, sir.
Maintain definition.
Go ahead.
Preserved, upheld, and supported.
There you go. So it said preserved, upheld, and supported. Great definition to explain what you got when you get married. You got something that needs to be preserved, upheld, and supported. Meaning it won't support itself. And a lot of times men will get a woman and put the bulk of the labor on her shoulders and expect her to just bear the responsibilities. No, you have to bear the responsibilities. There's roles she has to play, there's roles you have to play. There's roles that both parties have to play. But you know what the role that you have to play is? What is the role that a man has to play when he gets a wife? Read on.
God. It's a help like unto himself.
He said the role that he has to play is that he has to show her how to help him. How to be the best help so she can be good help. Because if he plays the right role and he supports her, maintains her, she could be a great asset to his life. She could be a great benefit to his life.
She's your mirror.
A mirror, a reflection, but also an assistant. She could be great of great assistance to a man. What does that scripture say? He that getteth a wife getteth a good thing. Where's that at? Somebody find that for me.
That's Proverbs 18:22.
Get that for me.
Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22. Whenever you're ready.
All right, go ahead and read it.
Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22. Whoso findeth a wife,
It said, "Whoso findeth the wife," go ahead.
findeth a good thing.
So yeah, is a wife a bad thing?
No, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. That's a good. You got a good thing. Is that J. Cole?
Yeah, that's J.
Yes.
That'll be your man, and it wasn't your thing. I don't even know the song. You know what I'm saying? Is it just a one night stand? Oh man.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
I'm going against this class.
Yeah.
I'm going against this
Yeah,
class.
that's what I'm saying. They sing about adultery though. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir.
Just on your point, because you're talking about a good woman be given to that man, it's a gift from the Lord. According to Ecclesiasticus 26:14, it says a silent and loving woman. So there's characteristics that come with this type of woman, this good woman that you're talking about. This is a silent and loving woman, one that's not abating the courage of a man, that's really being a support system, being blameless,
tearing them down.
not tearing them down, actually being a support and helping them out. It says this is a gift of the Lord. It says, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. So a woman that's able to remain blameless and be able to take instruction and remain in
Take
order,
instruction, receive instruction.
and be in order to be well instructed. He said, man, there's nothing more worth that.
Well, he said that's where her value is.
Come
Her value is in her ability to be instructed.
on.
That's what makes her value. You know, because a lot of times women talk about a woman's worth.
Mhm.
Well, a woman's only worth as great of a humble mind as she's able to receive in instruction. The greater amount of information and instruction she can receive, the greater value she possesses. That's where the woman's worth is at. But like you said, there's characteristics to it. But he that getteth the wife getteth the what?
A possession.
No, a good thing. You had it in Proverbs. Yawab, you had it.
Got you. Proverbs chapter 18 and 22. It says, whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
Read.
And obtaineth favor.
And obtaining what?
Favor.
That was the Most High blessing me with this, based on the scripture you just pulled. That was the Most High giving me somebody that I could build with, that can receive instruction, that can take instruction and be of a good assistance to me as a man. Yes, sis.
And understanding in everything as far as if I have that husband, that's where he's at in his weakness. My job is to remain blameless. And then with the brothers bringing out, okay, silent and loving wife. Being that, and what the brother quoted about, you got to be, before your obedience is fulfilled. If I can then a woman say, you know, let me keep silent and not share with you where I'm at because I don't want to affect you and I'm supposed to be this. I can fake being an Israelite. Do I then keep silent and not share with him where I'm at? Because we know that the scriptures talk about being a weaker vessel and we can come with so much passion. Is it that I just say, come out of one?
No. Your Majesty, Your Highness,
Lord.
your Lord, Adonai, it's that's not what the Most High is saying. What the Most High is saying is, if you're going to be blameless, that means you have to just stay conscious of where you're at and not where He's at. Put your mind on what and this is what Christ did with those same men that was ready to stone the woman that was caught in the act of adultery. He just turned the attention on themselves. And that's where everybody's attention needs to be. Because that dynamic doesn't just exist between a husband and a wife. That dynamic exists between young men and elder men. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I have an advantage over this elder man, so I'm just going to pretend to be in order, but really in my mind I'm better than that person. That dynamic exists everywhere. Yes,
So, adding on to what the sister's saying, also the parable you're bringing out with Christ, you're saying that Yahushua, he wasn't checking them on them bringing up the adultery. He was checking them on them trying to condemn the adultery. And in the similitude with the husband and wife, correct me if I'm wrong, I can bring the problem up, but I have to first know where I'm at, where my mindset's at. I'm just telling you my issues. I'm not trying to look down upon you. I'm not trying to judge you. I just want you to know where I stand right now, and so you can help me get through it, so I can still remain blameless within the household.
Right. It happens. It should be that way, but a lot of times, because that declaration of issues come with opinion, it never hardly ever ends with, I'm just telling you what's on my mind, versus it being associated with, I'm telling you what's on my mind based upon what I see you do wrong. Because they go together. They just try to. It's often separated, but they're really together. I'm really telling you this not just because I have something to say, but it's something to say about the way you're doing something that I don't like. But there's a way to converse in a relationship. There's a sensitivity of how I approach you when there's an issue. Do I have to yell it to you? You know what? This is where a woman's discretion comes into play. That's why it says her discretion will fatten his bones. Yes. You know what that discretion is? A woman with discretion knows when and how to approach her husband. And too many times a wife doesn't know or have the discretion to know when or how or what the timing is when it's right to bring a situation to a man, right before he closes his eyes and go to sleep.
Long day of work.
Yeah, after a long day of work, you picked at this point right now to just be like,
ain't even put your stuff down.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Just you picking this time right now, but that's where a woman's discretion comes into play, because she can dictate when and how and the timing to convey a message. It doesn't always have to be where she's had to be closed mouth and she has, because you know what? On the outside looking in, most people see an Israelite woman and they think that, you got mind control over her. They think, on the outside looking in, y'all beat y'all women. On the outside looking in, there's only one way you got this woman in order like this. You got to be, woman, you need some freedoms, sister.
Yeah.
You're following this man too much. There's always got to be foul play from the outside looking in. There's no foul play involved. You know what? She's learned discretion as much as he's learned how to read when there's something wrong in his woman. Because now we're going back to the point what we're bringing out now. Go back now to Ecclesiasticus 36 and verse 24. Now go back to this point because it's gonna show something. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Read that.
Ecclesiasticus 36 and verse 24. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession,
All right.
a
Go ahead.
help like unto himself.
And if you know how to develop a woman, what page you on in the red book?
92.
92. Go ahead.
And a pillar of rest.
They said, damn, you get a woman that's a great help, and she could be a what?
A pillar of rest.
She could be a pillar of rest, man. That's what a good woman is, man. She's a comfort to you. She's an assistant and a comfort to you. Read on.
God. Where no hedges.
Hold on. Now, she got to be maintained.
Yep.
She got to be supported. She got to be instructed. She got to be taught. She got to be kept up. You can't just run her to the ground. You gotta think ahead of what issues she may possess. And I'm gonna show you an example of that. It says where no hedge is. Now somebody give me the definition of hedge.
Hedge is
Hedge, to surround for defense.
It says to surround for what?
Defense.
So when you get a wife, you're supposed to put a what around her?
Defense.
You're supposed to put a defense around her.
To fortify.
Say it again, bro.
To protect them.
To protect her, absolutely. You got to protect her. That's what a defense. That's what a hedge is. A fence. Just like you got a fence on your house or a gate on your door, or hope or something. You got an alarm or something. You got something as a means of defense. But you got to put a hedge around a wife. It says a hedge about. It says where there's no hedge. If you don't have a defense, a protector around your woman, go ahead.
there the possession is spoiled.
But what else you got for hedge?
Hedge. It says to defense to fortify.
To fortify. Go what else?
It says to hide.
No, well, give me the definition of fortify, because it's something I want to bring out on this point. Give me the definition of fortify.
Fortify. To surround with a wall, ditch, palisades, or other works.
To surround with the what?
With a wall.
Now, what is the wall?
Okay.
What is the wall that a man surrounds a woman with?
Wisdom.
Protection, wisdom, what else? His mind, what else? Counsel, scriptures, what else?
Literally in the house. Literally in the house.
In the house, what else? What else we got? What is the way that a husband fortifies his wife?
Her mind.
Her mind, how?
Support.
Hmm?
What she needs.
In the Bible.
Prudence and discretion.
What'd you say?
I say what she needs.
What she needs, what else?
Prudence and discretion.
Prudence. I like prudence. I like prudence. Why? Read the definition of prudence, and then as you get the definition of prudence, I want to answer this question with a scripture in Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 8.
Prudence. Prudence implies caution.
It implies what?
Caution.
So how does a man fortify his woman?
Implies caution.
He implies what?
Caution.
In what way? Let's find out. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 8.
Deuteronomy.
And what'd you say, sis? I didn't hear what you said.
Awareness of danger.
Awareness of danger. I like that. Deuteronomy 22 and 8. Read that.
Deuteronomy 22 and verse 8. Everybody got that in the blue book?
It's page 105.
What page is that in the blue book?
105.
105. The water, bro. Read that.
Deuteronomy 22 and verse 8. When thou buildest a new house.
It said when you build a new house, guess what you doing? Who else is in the house with you?
Your wife.
Your woman. You know, if you're building a new house, it's good to have a new woman in the new house too. It's good. They go together. I'm just joking. You know what I'm saying? That's a joke. So he said, when thou buildest a new house, go ahead.
When thou buildest a new house, then thou shalt make a battlement.
Hell, hold on, stop. Somebody give me the definition of battlement. You can Google it. 1828 Webster's Dictionary.
Battlement. It says a wall raised on building with
Stop right there. It says a wall.
raised on a building.
It says a wall raised on a building. Now, when you build a house, back in them days, they didn't have these apex peaked rooftops that we got today. They had rooftops where you could walk on, just like balconies. That's why David saw Bathsheba when he was out on the porch or the balcony, he was on the rooftop watching Bathsheba. So he said when you build a house, he says you're supposed to do what? Read what you got in the scripture.
When thou buildest a new house, then thou shalt make a battlement.
He said you're supposed to make a what?
A battlement.
Now stop. What's the definition of battlement?
A wall raised on a building.
It says you're supposed to put a wall to border the roof. Why do you build a wall to border the roof? Let's find out. Read in the scripture.
For thy roof, that thou bring not blood upon thine house.
So why did the Most High say that when you build a house, you're supposed to put a wall around the roof so that you don't bring any blood in your house? Yes, sir.
So you could keep the negativity out, or?
That's a good one. But let's find out. That's a good point. What does he say in the scriptures?
That thou bringest not blood upon thine house.
How?
If any man fall from thence.
So if any man what?
Fall from thence.
So the embattlement or the wall that you built around the roof was to keep somebody from what?
Falling.
From falling. So what way do you fortify your woman?
Build a wall.
Prudence.
You always maintain in her mind, checking where she's at, cautious of, you're like 10 steps ahead.
Thank you. Bingo. That's what I wanted. You're ahead of her fall. So she doesn't have to always come to you be like, I'm at this point in my life. But it's like, damn, you've been neglectful then. If she's at that point in her life, then what have you not been putting up? You haven't been putting up no wall to keep her from falling. That's what a man owes a woman. Is my prudence. The definition of prudence was what?
Caution or awareness of the...
No, my woman had it.
Prudence. Prudence implies caution in deliberating and consulting on the most suitable means to accomplish valuable purposes.
They said, read it again.
Prudence implies caution.
It's caution. What you have to feed your woman is your what?
Caution.
Is the fact that you're ahead of the danger. You're ahead of the fact of what could make her fall or what could make her weak. This is where you're not neglectful in the fact that this is going on too long and I'm expecting her to sustain herself, but I put up no wall. I put up no caution. And I've been careless in the fact that I've been not noticing when she's slipping.
You're fortitude her mind. You're fortifying her mind with prudence, with caution.
With caution. That's what a husband, that's his responsibility when he gets a wife. Yes, sir.
Psalms 32 and 8.
Read that.
Psalms chapter 32 and verse 8. I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye.
He said, I will guide thee with what?
Mine eye.
So what does that mean?
It says, I will instruct you. To instruct, you can teach by your studies and your experiences, your testimonies, and also pulling from strength from other brothers or sisters that have more experience than you, and you pass that on to your wife. And then it says, I will instruct you and teach thee. So you're going to teach these lessons, these valuable lessons in this walk. And the way which thou shalt go, so I'm going ahead of you and you follow behind me step by step. And the way thou shalt go, I will guide thee with my eyes. So I'm looking far beyond from where we're standing. I'm looking 10 steps ahead. I'm asking other people that are guiding me that see even further than I can. So there's more than one set of eyes looking, and
that's that caution that you're bringing out that I have over my woman. That's what I got. When I got a possession, I got a responsibility, and I got to put the hedge up. The hedge is my ability to have foresight and my prudence on what could go wrong if she's not aware of certain things or certain mind frames or certain mentality. That means I just can't have a woman and not pay attention to her running to the ground.
Yeah, so if she's following you, your head's on the swivel and you're scanning for danger, for obstacles, for hurdles that she might encounter, and you're instructing her in the way where she shall go.
And how to avoid those situations.
Time
For
to-
example, Ecclesiasticus chapter 9. Ecclesiasticus chapter 9 verse 5. Somebody read that. Same, we stay in the park for just a few more minutes. Ecclesiasticus chapter 9 verse 5. Let's read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 5. That's page 75 in the Red Apocrypha.
Read that.
Ecclesiastes 9 and verse 5.
You right, okay.
Gaze not on a maid.
And that's why you tell your woman, don't be in the presence of a man all up in another man's face. That's part of the precaution that you put on your wife. There's no need for you to be all up in another man's face, in another man's mouth, and spending a lot of time with another man.
Right.
She gonna develop feelings for him.
Absolutely. And we're going to show it in the Bible. We're going to show it in the Bible. It says, gaze not on a maid. Why not? Read on.
Thou fall not by those things that are precious in her.
Because all it takes is a married woman and another man spending time together, and what is going to develop? Feelings, emotions, sparks, flames, interests, similar interests, common ground. We see each other, we have similar likes. We're into the same thing. Well, now we're starting to bond. This bond is being created. So you gotta. This is part of the caution that you gotta have on your woman. You gotta know. Okay, you're spending too much time in the presence of pursuing this friendship that's unethical, where you can actually. There's danger involved in that. I gotta be able to see through that. Jump down to verse 8.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 8. Turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman.
Read on.
And look not upon another's beauty.
And I'm not supposed to be looking at another man's wife's beauty. That's
Right.
that man's beauty.
Because that's adultery.
That's adultery. How do we know that's adultery? How do I know that looking at another man's beauty, which is his wife, is adultery? How do I know that?
Matthew 5:27 and 28.
Let's read that. Let's go to Matthew. Hold this and let's go to Matthew chapter 5, verse 27 and 28.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 27.
In the blue book, where you at, Jariah?
Page 549. Page 459. Sorry.
Page 459.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 27. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not commit adultery.
This is Christ speaking. Read on.
But I say unto you.
But Christ said, I got another level of awareness that you need to know about. It's not just the act of adultery that you have to worry about. There's more responsibility involved, and that you could be found guilty of, not just sexually involved with another man's woman, but what? Read on.
It says that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust.
It says if I'm looking at a woman for what?
To lust after her.
Because I want a piece or a part of the action. Sexually. Read on.
Hath committed adultery with her already.
Where?
In his heart.
In his heart. His heart represents what?
The mind.
In my mind. So I'm guilty if I put this thought in my mind. If I'm playing with these thoughts, I'm just as guilty. Because it's only a matter of time before I start acting on these thoughts. Because all actions come from the heart, from the mind. And as a man thinketh in his heart,
so is he.
So is he.
That's what becomes his thought.
I become my thoughts.
Whatever you think upon, that's what you become.
Right, I become that. I like what you're saying. So this is why you don't sit down looking at another man's beauty, another man's woman. You don't sit down eyeballing, googly eyeing each other, extended conversation. There's no need for all that. Because that's part of that caution that you're putting up. That hedge, that fence, that wall, that embattlement. I'm thinking about, you know what? You could slip and fall by doing that. We're going to order lunch. We just go to lunch breaks. We just go to lunch. It's always lunch. It's lunch. It's nothing serious. It's lunch. Anyway, read on.
Come on. Ecclesiastes 9 and verse 6. Give not thy soul unto harlots.
Yeah, that's why he said, give not thy what?
Soul unto harlots.
So somebody give me, it was, I wanted Ecclesiastes 9 and 9.
Ecclesiasticus 9 and verse 9.
Finish verse 8 and then go to 9.
Ecclesiastes 9 and verse 8. Turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman, and look not upon another's beauty.
Go ahead.
For many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman.
Go ahead.
For herewith love is kindled.
He said, by you in the company of another man's woman, spending too much time gazing on each other, he says, what happens?
For herewith love is kindled as a fire.
Is it love or is it lust? It's lust. It ain't even love, it's lust. And the people confuse that. It ain't love, it's lust. Because you don't even know this person. But you know what's already starting to happen? This attraction, this physical attraction starts to happen. Infatuation starts to happen. And then the idea that the grass is greener on the other side. I'm in the wrong place.
That's what you about to pull?
That's where we at.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. You right there, my boy. You in the game. Right, go ahead.
Ecclesiasticus 9 and verse 9. Sit not at all.
It says sit what?
Not at all.
Sometimes.
Not at all.
Go ahead.
With another man's wife.
Read on.
Nor sit down with her in thine arm.
Read on.
And spend not thy money with her.
I'll buy you a drink.
I'm gonna buy you a drink.
You know, from unknown abstract rappers on you know what I'm saying, to songs, my will to bring it out. Go ahead.
God, and spend not thy money with her at the wine.
And don't be buying no drinks. And don't be spending no lunch. I mean, I'll pay you for your lunch. I got you on your lunch.
That's the opposite of that.
Yeah. So you know what you're saying? That's the caution. That's that embattlement. That's that hedge that you're putting up around us. That's that protection. I already see where this can go. I already see where this is going. And it's obvious. So a woman has to be just as keen on the fact that you can't have this type of relationship built on this kind of frivolous bond to allow the company to escalate out of hand and out of control. Because that's all that's going to happen. It's only a matter of time before it escalates beyond just lunch. Or beyond just I bought her a drink. Or I just took her out. Or we just hung out together. We spent a little time. That's all it takes is one little spark to start a fire. So you don't give it no room. You don't give it any opportunity. That's the precaution that a man has to give, or just on where this woman is mentally. Because you can have a woman in the house and you're sleeping with a stranger. You have no idea where her mind is. You're not on the same page. You're not on the same page whatsoever. Matter of fact, before you go there, go back and finish St. John 8. Go back and finish St. John 8. Let me finish this real quick. St. John chapter 8, and I think we're on verse 9.
St. John chapter 8 and verse 9. Call out that page, sir.
God. 512.
Yeah.
Okay, 512.
Read that.
John chapter 8 and verse 9. And they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience.
And so they the ones that was the stoners that was ready to stone the woman for adultery. It says they being convicted of their what?
Own conscience.
Because they were guilty. They were just as guilty, just maybe not of adultery, but they were guilty. They had sin. Read on.
Went out one by one.
Go ahead.
Beginning at the eldest, even unto the last, and Yahushua was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst.
Go ahead.
And when Christ had lifted up himself, and saw none but the woman, he said unto her, Woman, where are those thine accusers?
Where are those men that was ready to accuse you of adultery? Read on.
Hath no man condemned thee?
You're not dead yet? They ain't stoned you? They ain't condemned you to death? Read on.
Verse 11. She said, No man, Lord. And Christ said unto her, Neither do I condemn thee.
What did Christ say?
Neither do I condemn thee.
So even in the act of adultery, guess what? If this was the Old Testament, everybody be put to death. But since now Christ died so that we can get a second chance. That's why we I'm not condoning adultery. I'm not saying adultery is right. What I'm saying is, don't abuse the opportunity that Christ has provided you to get a pass from your sins. Because some of us may be guilty of adultery. Some of us may be guilty of death. Have had the wrong ideas or been guilty in the mind of adultery. But that's why it says in Hebrews, you pulled it earlier, 4 and you pulled 13. Hold on. No. Hebrews 13 and 4. I think you pulled it earlier. You pulled it one time. I don't know if you put it today.
Marriage is honorable?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Hebrews
you said it
13 and verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all.
That's why he said marriage is what?
Honorable in all.
Don't disrespect the marriage.
Oh.
Even though you may not get stoned for adultery, that doesn't mean you disrespect the relationship. That doesn't mean you disrespect what the Most High has allowed you to do by not dying for your mistakes. Read on.
And the bed undefiled. But whoremongers and adulterers the Most High will judge.
He said whoremongers and what?
Whoremongers and adulterers the Most High will judge.
Now,
Because revenge belongs to the Most High.
right. Now, I know, yes, God. Now, we read this earlier, but I want to finish it. We didn't finish it. Go to Hebrews chapter 10, verse 28. And now I want to finish it in verse 29. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 28.
Page in the blue book, 581. In the blue book, 581. Page 581.
Hebrews 10 and verse 28. He that despised Moses' law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses.
So all it took is 2 or 3 witnesses to say we caught this man or this woman in the act of adultery. That man was dead. Read on.
Of how much sore punishment, suppose ye, shall he be thought worthy who have trodden underfoot?
How do I step on Christ? He says who have trodden underfoot who?
The Son of God.
How do I step on Christ, man? How do I put Christ under my feet and stomp on him?
Disrespect, disobey.
How do I disrespect Christ?
By repeating the same offenses. Like, I didn't take it and change from it. I'm repeating the same thing. It's like nailing them back to the cross. Everything that we've
Continue the
done.
cycle.
No regards, no fear.
No change.
No change. No
Right.
contrition. I'm just gonna.
No repentance.
Going back to the same habits.
Like that
Yeah,
dog that goes
I
to
did the
fire.
same thing that I was guilty of that I should have died for. That in the Old Testament I would have died for if I was alive in the Old Testament. That Christ now giving me a second chance to make right my wrongs, but I go and make the same wrong mistake. Now I'm stepping on Christ and I'm stepping on his works. I'm stepping on his sacrifices. Now I'm crushing him under my feet. He said, how much more punishment do you think you're going to receive now for trodden underfoot? Go ahead.
The Son of the Most High.
Read on.
And have counted the blood of the covenant.
And I count the blood of the covenant what?
Wherewith he was sanctified.
Go ahead.
An unholy thing.
And I constituted the blood of the covenant as an unholy thing by how I disrespected his sacrifices. This is why he told the woman in John chapter 10, when he in verse 11. Now read verse 11.
You want chapter 10 now?
I mean John chapter 8 verse 11. I'm sorry.
John chapter 8 and verse 11.
This is why he told her what he told her. Read that.
She said, No man, Lord. And Jesus said unto her, Neither do I condemn
He
thee.
said, neither do I condemn you. Read on.
Go and sin no more.
He said, but there's one condition of you walking away untouched from this punishment that you should have received. There's only one condition. That I'm going to let you slide. I'll let you slide, but you got to understand your responsibility from this point forward. You can't be guilty of this again. Otherwise, if the Most High let me slide from adultery, and I go back and commit adultery again, now I'm stepping on Christ. Now I'm stepping on the blood of Christ and disrespecting his sacrifices. Now I'm counting his blood as an unholy thing. It's not sacred. It's not special. He died for nothing. He died in vain.
And in this instance, he was speaking to her. He was still alive.
Yeah. He didn't even sacrifice. He wasn't even sacrificed yet.
But he know that the rulers had to be just.
Yeah. Explain. But I like what you're saying. He said he hadn't sacrificed, he hadn't been condemned to death and crucified yet, but he knew that those in charge had to be just.
Well, you get that from 2 Samuel 23:3, and in the middle of it, he says, "He that ruleth over man must be just, ruling in the fear of the Most High."
So showing what?
So Christ understood that this concept of you got to be just in fear of the Most High by the Most High's laws, and not infringing upon His law, statutes, and commandments.
Right. And you know what he was showing her? He gave her something that she shouldn't have gotten.
Grace.
What is that? Grace. He showed her grace and mercy. She didn't deserve that. She deserved death. But what she received was a second opportunity, a second chance. That was grace. She didn't deserve it. And that's what he gave. So I'm not supposed to despise and disrespect the blood of Christ. Read on in that in 29, I think you're in.
29?
Yeah.
Wherewith he was sanctified, an unholy thing.
Go ahead.
And hath done despite.
And I did it despite what?
Unto the Spirit of grace.
And I did it even though I knew that Christ gave me what? Grace. And I still went back and committed adultery again. Now I'm stepping on Christ, even though I'm abusing His grace.
Killing him afresh.
Now I'm killing him a second time. And I'm counting Christ as being worth nothing. His blood being worth nothing. So now we understand what Christ gave this woman in her mistakes. Now, even though this is something that we all feel, and that we all hopefully doesn't have to go through, but if we do, then you're going to have to know how to maintain and deal with the situation. There's still going to be some pain, and there's still going to be some consequences. And what happens in the situation if adultery has gotten into your home? What happens? What's no longer there? Trust. That's what I want to go into, because what we don't understand is trust is easy to break, but it's hard to get, and it's hard to maintain. But it's easy to break, and we don't value trust until it's gone, until it's broken. And this is why I said in go here, Proverbs 18 and 19. And somebody else get Ecclesiasticus chapter 27 verse 16. Go to Proverbs chapter 18 verse 19. Somebody else get Proverbs 27. Ecclesiasticus 27 and 16.
Page in the Blue Book 319.
Go ahead.
Page in the Blue Book 319.
Yes, Proverbs 18 and 19. And then Ecclesiasticus 27 and 16 in the Apocrypha.
Ecclesiasticus 18 and 19.
Read.
A brother offended is harder to be won.
He said a brother offended is what?
Harder to be won.
When you offend a brother or a marriage, and I defile the bedroom, what's the end result of an offense? Read on.
A brother offended is harder to be won
than what?
A strong city.
Go ahead.
And their contentions
and their issues that they have with you, the strife that they have, the debate and the differences that are there from that point on, once the trust is broken. Read on.
And their contentions are like the bars of a castle.
Winning this person back is like breaking out of prison. It's going to be very difficult to win that trust back. Once I've defiled that bedroom, or that bedroom is defiled, gaining that trust back is monumental. It's an uphill battle. It's very difficult. So what used to be there, and that I had accessibility to, when I had trust at my disposal, and I took that trust for granted through adultery, now there's a wall and a separation that goes in between us that's like the bars of a castle. You're on one side and I'm on the other. We're not going to be on the same page hardly ever. We're hardly ever going to see eye to eye anymore. Why is that? Because that trust it's sensitive. And that's one of the repercussions to adultery. You break that trust, it's very difficult to get it back. And if you do get it back, it hardly ever will be at the same level that it was before. And it takes a whole lot of time to even reach the point where it was back at least to where it was initially at before the breach. Let that go and go to Ecclesiasticus.
You're talking about between two people that are married, right?
Yeah, or two friends.
Okay, good.
It's either way. Ecclesiasticus.
27.
Yep. 16.
Ecclesiasticus. In the red book, Apocrypha, page 87. Ecclesiastes 27 and 17.
16.
And Salakia 16.
Read that.
Whoso discovers secrets.
So, there was a bond. Somebody, they trusted me with their secrets. And what happened?
Whoso discovers secrets.
And I took this person's trust for granted. Read on.
Loseth his credit.
I lose what?
Credit.
Man. And so you lose credit with people? Well, that means before, when you told me you just gonna go to the store, I believed you. That you just going to the store. When you're on the phone and you just said, I'm talking to my boss, trying to get the schedule for tomorrow, I believed you that you were just talking to your boss, getting the schedule for tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Or when you at work.
Yeah, when you at work and you just say, "Hey, I gotta put in overtime." Before, you had that trust. You didn't need an explanation. You could just say, "Hey, I'm over here at this time. I'll be over here. This is what I got on my schedule. This is what I got going on this weekend." No questions asked. That credit was there. That means you didn't have to give me the hour-to-hour breakdown, minute by minute, play by play. Where are you at now? But you know what happens when you break secrets or you break trust? You lost that credit. Now it's, how come you didn't answer your phone? Who was you with today? Why it took you 2.5 minutes to answer your phone when normally you answer the phone on those first 2 rings? Why are you wearing what you're wearing? You going anywhere special? Who you going with? Why you put that outfit on? You never wore that outfit before. You never put that on before.
It's like the credit card rate went low and the interest rate. The interest rate is like.
You know what?
You never wear makeup.
Yeah, it's insufficient. You never wear makeup. You never put that outfit on. Who you trying to impress? Where you going with? Why you dressed like that? You know, you don't realize what you lost until it's lost.
Yeah.
And then now there's 1,000 investigative questions behind everything you do, everywhere you go, day in and day out, and who knows how long it's going to last. Because you don't know how long it's going to last. You don't know if this person's going to be like this forever, or they're going to question me forever, or is this going to just be a phase and they'll over time forget about it. But you don't know. Because you had the ability to come and go with no questions. Just, hey, call me if you need anything. That was it. You had that luxury. Call me if you need anything. I got my phone with me. No problem. Now I need your schedule.
Right.
Now I'm calling T-Mobile and I'm getting your phone call list. I need your call log. Go and print your call log. And then I'm going to go back and call all your numbers on the call log. Or at 9:23 a.m. Who's that? Why are you calling somebody at 9? Who was this at 11:52? You had 10 phone calls in 24 hours with this 678 number.
Unknown.
Yeah.
Or send me your location.
Yeah.
In today's time.
Drop a pin
on the iPhone.
Apps.
Send me your location so I know where you at.
Or I got the family app downloaded where I could pinpoint your location either if you don't know or not. If you don't send it to me or not. I got the family plan downloaded. I can just be like, okay, I'm gonna just go on the family plan app and just show, oh, you're over here on the north side. You told me you was on the east side.
Or I can see your messages from the TV. Or I can see your messages from the TV.
Right. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can see their message. Like you could be on the same plan.
I told you, I want to know that. I want to be dropping. I want to be schooling me.
I'm just saying, man.
Tell me,
This is
man.
updating today's times, huh?
I'm a dinosaur.
You
right?
can watch people's messages from at home, huh?
That's
They
crazy.
can be somewhere else, and you can scan their messages, huh?
Man, come
Who
on,
they
man.
talking to? Huh?
Don't put that in my
You
head.
can get all their messages and their phone calls on your phone.
That's crazy.
Don't teach me that. Man.
You can get all their messages, everything on your phone.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm just joking, but the whole point is what? That credit. Yes, sir.
Definition of squander is to waste without judgment.
Okay, I didn't. You know what I mean? That means I didn't value it. I wasted this person's trust, and I didn't realize what I really had until I broke it. Read on.
And shall never find friend.
It said, damn. It said when that credit is gone. Go ahead.
And shall never find friend to his mind.
They said we're not going to use these words friend no more. We're not on these terms anymore. We're not going to use that bond. That bond is broken. Because you know what I did? I took advantage of your trust. See, it's not just the fact that the act was done, adultery was done, but there's residual repercussions that come with adultery that people aren't prepared for after the fact. That one heated moment, a night of pleasure, whatever, you don't realize how much it costs.
Mm-hmm.
And what spirit now is in between you and this person. That's why with adultery, divorce is lawful due to adultery. Although there's Christ said in the beginning it was not so, but because a man and a woman were supposed to be together for life. That's how the Most High created it. That's how the Most High viewed marriage. But
Even on that law, how it was written, he said for the hardening of your hearts, because he understood that breaking of that bond could have such an effect. He said, I can understand how it could have such an effect on you.
Well, I'm gonna say this.
Y'all can't even.
Well, you know what? Because we're unmerciful.
Because you just can't. You can't forgive.
We can't forgive, and it wasn't even adultery. It says because what we would do is cut a woman off if we found any uncleanness in her.
Anything.
It wasn't just for the fact of adultery. We was ready to cut a woman off just for something that we found in her that we weren't pleased with.
Stony heart.
Stony heart. So it wasn't just adultery. But read on.
Come, love thy friend.
That's why he said, love thy friend. Read on.
And be faithful unto him.
And he said, love your friend and be what?
Faithful.
And be faithful unto him. That whether you're in a marriage or you're in a friendship, don't break the trust that exists between you and your friend. Stay faithful. Read on.
Come. But if thou betrayest his secrets.
Once again, if you break that trust, read on.
Follow no more after him.
Why is that? Read on.
For as a man hath destroyed his enemy, so hast thou lost the love of thy neighbor.
He said you lost that love of your neighbor because you didn't value the power of trust. You didn't think trust was such a big deal.
You became unfaithful.
You became unfaithful.
Can I pull the definition?
Kinda.
The definition of unfaithfulness: not observant of promises, vows, allegiance of duty.
Man, he said not observant of what?
Promises, vows, allegiance of duty, violating trust or confidence.
I violated trust or what?
Confidence.
I violated trust or confidence. All these things are the after effects, and the just like an earthquake, and you got the aftershock that still hits like an earthquake after the earthquake's over. These are the residual things that happen when you after adultery. Now you got to deal with the fact that I can't look at you the same. And you know how hard that is when somebody that you're used to looking at with love, and you can't, and you want to, because you're used to or accustomed to looking at this person with love. So you want to look at this person with love, but what's being prevented is the fact that how can I, when you didn't value the trust that we had together? You violated the confidence that I had in you. So it makes it very difficult for me to look at you the same. And that causes a whole nother brain, what by definition, we read this a long time ago about the vagaries of life. Somebody get that definition real quick.
Would it also necessarily be like having superstition. Like I always gotta be
paranoid.
Paranoid.
Yeah,
what you gotta do.
Yeah, I'm paranoid when you tell me you gotta go somewhere. I'm like, take the kids with you. You gotta take the kids everywhere.
The kids is the witness.
Yeah, take the kids with you.
The kids are the witnesses. What your mama do?
Yeah.
What your dad do? Oh, okay.
She was with her friend today. He bought me a toy. Anyway, so read that right there. Vagaries of life.
Definition.
Oh, vagary.
An unexpected and inexplicable change in a situation.
Yeah, you know, it's an unexpected and an inexplicable change. Go ahead.
In a situation.
In a situation. This is what causes people all types of inner turmoil. Is this unexpected change that I went from trusting you, giving you the benefit of the doubt, not having to question you. Now I have to question everything. This is now a change that I don't want to deal with. I don't want to have to be in this mentality where I got to look at you awkward every day. And as a person that I can't trust and be confident in, that you're going to have my best interest at heart. Or you see me the way I see you. Read on in that definition.
Or in someone's behavior.
Go ahead.
Wandering of the thought.
It says wandering of the what?
The thought.
Now when you break that trust, where is that mind at?
Everywhere.
The mind is everywhere, man. Man, you didn't threw that person's mind into oblivion. That person's mind is in Pluto.
You start connecting all the dots.
Yeah, you checking pockets and laundry. You didn't go through the purse. You never went through the purse. You never went through the purse. Are you checking purses? Let me see your phone code. What's your phone code? What's your password? You never asked for passwords. You never wanted to read emails. Nobody cared about that because there was trust there. Now I gotta check emails. Now I gotta look through your phone. Do you understand the perplexion that you throw a relationship in when you bring in adultery into a marriage or a household? When that trust is broken? Now it's all these things that nobody thinks about, where the person's mind is going to be everywhere. And I gotta deal with a distorted thought process, because I have to think about things that I never thought I would have to think about, or I didn't want to think about. But that's the vagaries of life. That's what happens. These inexplicable things that are thrown at you as a residual of sin. These are the repercussions of sin. Now I got my mind is on. I don't know if I could ever be the same person again. If I ever want to be in a relationship, why trust anybody? I'm distorted in my thought process, and that's what happens. It says, don't even look for that friend no more. That friend is gone. Read on, verse 20.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 27, verse 20. Follow after him no more, for he is too far off. He is as a roe escaped out of the snare.
Because you broke a bond that's hard as hell to try to repair. It is hope. But a lot of people aren't prepared for what's to come after adultery. It's not just the act, it's the residual of adultery that people aren't prepared for. That drives people insane, that causes you to not sleep at night. Because you're vexed within yourself, in your mind. And this is on both sides. You're wounded.
So it develops into a disorder.
It can be a disorder.
It's like that scrutiny is like overwhelming. The amount of scrutiny and critical observation you have to put into every.
You're not even the same person.
Thought,
you're not even the same person anymore.
Right. That's the withering away of the relationship.
Yeah, you've become an Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
You know, I followed you today when you was at work. Right. I just wanted to make sure that you know, that crazy cuckoo man stuff. You know, I followed you today when you went to work, and you told me that you were going to the post office first.
Right.
And I stayed 3 cars behind you, and you weren't at the post office. You didn't understand. Anyway, so read on.
God, verse 21. As for a wound, it may be bound up.
It says, as for a wound, there's a chance though that it may be bound up, doesn't mean that after the fact it's hopeless. There is hope even in this situation if this has hit your household, if adultery have met you at home. Read on.
And after reviling, there may be reconciliation.
Reconcilement. Yes. So after a wound, it may be bound up, and after reviling, there's going to be some tension. There's going to be some slander. There's going to be some crap talking. There's going to be some blame. There's going to be some hurtful words thrown back and forth. Because there's pain involved that wasn't there before. There's trust broken that was credited before that you didn't have to worry about. He said, but after reviling, go ahead.
That means you have to deal with it.
Right. Read on.
But he that betrays secrets is without hope.
It says that there may be reconcilement, but he that bewrayeth secrets is without hope. He said, if I don't value, if I take trust for granted, I can destroy what even possibly could have been rebuilt. That means if I'm in a relationship, don't take trust for granted. That don't take trust as if it's a light thing.
Or if there's a discovery of those secrets and you make that promise not to cross that boundary again, and you break that trust again, there is no hope. No. You got the second chance and you break that second chance and you have no hope after it.
Man, it's very difficult to have to live life after dealing with these situations, man. So what he's showing us is the insight of adultery, the reciprocal damage that comes from it, the residual damage that comes from it, and the inner turmoil that it causes between a person, their partner, or their own mind state is corrupted, is polluted. Their ideals of hope of the good that existed between me and this person, I can't see this person in the same light. Now I got to try to deal with these conflicted feelings and emotions. This is what it causes. But he's still saying that it's still hope. There's still a chance. But it's something that we have to deal with. Ecclesiasticus 40:1. Somebody else get 1 Corinthians 10 and 13 real quick.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 40, verse 1.
Page 45 in the Apocrypha. Page 44.
Read that.
Great travail is created for every man.
But guess what? There's no guarantee that you're not going to feel this. There's no guarantee that you're not going to have to feel what we're explaining about what happens when trust is broken and adultery is at your house. There's no guarantee that you're not going to feel it. It says great travail is what?
Great travail is created for every man, and in heavy yoke is upon the sons of Adam.
Go ahead.
From the day that they go out of their mother's womb.
So you don't know what you're going to experience in this life. For the time you come out of your mother's womb, you're not sure of the experiences of what the Most High has in store for you. I don't wish that anybody has to go through a feeling of broken trust and a broken relationship and having to deal with adultery, because the road to recovery is very long, but it's possible. But you never know what you're going to experience for the time you come out of your mother's womb. Who can know that I would have to deal with this situation? Who would have ever known or prepared me to have to deal with what it feels like to be stabbed in the back? Or to love somebody that didn't love me the same? Read on.
Till the day that they return to the mother of all things,
which is the dirt. Read on.
Verse 2. Their imagination of things to come, and the day of death, trouble their thoughts, and cause fear of heart. From him that sitteth on a throne of glory, unto him that is humbled.
He says it doesn't matter in what financial capacity that you're in, whether you got money or you don't. Divorce, adultery exists in any economical platform. Doesn't matter. You can't escape. Your money can't help you escape these feelings or these circumstances. These circumstances befall the wealthy as well as the poor. Read on.
Unto him that is humbled in earth and ashes, from him that weareth purple and a crown, unto him that is clothed with a linen frock.
So whether I got purple royal purple on, and I'm in the palace, or whether I'm wearing a linen frock, and that's about the best of my gear. I have a humble attire. It doesn't matter what your status is. You're going to have to deal with certain things that are inexplicable and unexplainable, and it hits you at off times that you weren't prepared for. That's why the best thing for you to do is to go to Proverbs 4 and 7. Hold where we at. Ishai, hold where we at.
Proverbs 4 and verse 7.
3:14 in the blue book.
Proverbs 4 and verse 7.
Go ahead.
Wisdom is the principal thing.
That's why as much as you can, you should be acquiring what?
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Wisdom is the what?
Principal thing.
No, it's the what?
Application of knowledge.
It's the correct application of knowledge. So then, if I am in a situation or have come into a situation where adultery is playing a part in my marriage, in my life, I got to have the wisdom in order to go through it, get through it, deal with it, put up with it, heal from it, move on, learn from it, so on and so forth.
The correct way of dealing with it.
There's a correct way to deal with it. I couldn't have predicted this, but I still got to have some type of wisdom in order to make it out of it. And that's with everything in life. That's why I said wisdom is the what?
Principal thing.
Go ahead.
Therefore get wisdom.
It said, therefore get wisdom.
And with all thy getting.
And with all thy getting, get what?
Get understanding.
Get understanding. Yes, sir.
So they're saying that wisdom is the key to everything?
Yes. He said wisdom is the key to everything as far as getting through problems in life or situations or circumstances. Wisdom is the correct way, the correct application of knowledge. How do I correctly use what I learned so that it works for me and so the outcome can be beneficial to me? So I want to make sure that everything that I do, everything that I say, yields a benefit to me. And the only way that's possible is that if I use wisdom. But along with getting wisdom, read on.
And with all thy getting, get understanding.
Get understanding. Understanding is even more valuable than wisdom. Because once I learn from this situation, I learn how to get through it, then I can teach other people on how to get through it also. I can now become a teacher of wisdom because I understand it.
Because you duplicate it.
I can duplicate it, but also I can help others deal with their situations. Now I become a testimony and a strength to people that are going through the same situation because I got out of it. I know how to deal with it. Because he said in life, there's variables in life that you can't plan for that's going to hit everybody unbeknownst to them. Read on in verse 40.
Verse 3.
Verse 5.
Verse 5. Wrath.
It says, what feelings are you going to have to deal with in life?
Wrath.
It doesn't matter how much money you make.
Wrath.
You're going to have to deal with wrath. What else?
And envy.
Envy doesn't matter what side of town you live on, or what job you have, or what career path, how smart you are, what degrees you have. In life, you're going to have to deal with wrath. You got to learn. You have to have the wisdom to get through wrath, to not give in to wrath, not give in to what?
And envy.
You're gonna need wisdom for wrath, for envy, for what else?
Trouble.
You're gonna need wisdom for what?
Trouble.
Because you will hit some what? Trouble. So you have to have wisdom to get through the trouble. Read on.
And unquietness.
And what?
And unquietness.
And unquietness. When your life is thrown out of proportion, and your life is a whirlwind, and full of drama, you got to have wisdom to get through it. Read on.
Fear of death.
And you got to deal with death, because all of us gonna what?
Die.
We all gonna die. So I got to learn how to deal with it. I got to have wisdom to deal with it. Read on.
And anger.
And what else?
And strife.
And strife. What else?
And in the time of rest upon his bed, his night's sleep, do change his knowledge.
And I got to deal with my mind being out of control, being overthrown with emotions. So I got to have the wisdom to get through all this. And that's why I said wisdom is the principal thing. But with all that getting, get understanding. But where does the understanding come from?
learning your lessons.
But where does it come from?
Before you come.
The experiences you go through.
The experiences and what else? Anybody?
Counseling.
Counseling, what
Successes.
else? Successes, what
And
else?
application.
I say applying the wisdom.
Applying the wisdom, what else? Experience, what else? You know where it comes from? Go to Romans real quick, chapter 8, verse 26.
Wisdom comes from the Most High.
Yeah, it do. Romans chapter 8, verse 26.
Romans chapter 8 and verse 26.
Page 544.
Read that.
Likewise, the Spirit also helpeth.
It says what?
The Spirit
Where
also helpeth.
does the Spirit come from? The Spirit comes from the Most High. And what helps us, aid us in all these troubles?
Our infirmity.
It says the Spirit, asking the Most High to, through the Spirit of the Most High, to assist you. Meaning the Scriptures. I go to the Scriptures to solve my problems. Because you know what? You know what you're going to find in life? You're not always going to find an exact Scripture that says the exact same thing.
Right.
Word for word for what you're dealing with. So therefore, you may not trust the Bible. You may not trust because it doesn't say if this happens, because a lot of people got what ifs. What if a person goes through this? And this, and this happens. Then what am I supposed to do? So in a time where you don't always have the exact answer, you need assistance. So you need to, this is what you should be praying for. You should be praying for the Most High to assist you, that the Spirit does what?
Helpeth our infirmity.
Help me get through a situation that I don't know how to get through. Because it's not always as easy as do this, this, and this, and you'll be fine. It doesn't always seem like I can apply steps 1, 2, and 3 and everything's just going to go away and my problems are going to disappear. There are some things that you're going to go through in life that there aren't going to be any answers for, and you're not going to be able to communicate these issues so that you can get the right answer. A lot of us aren't communicative enough or experienced enough to even come out with what our issues are.
So
we don't even know what our problems are. We just know we have a problem. I can't even convey what my issue is and how I'm feeling. I just know I don't feel right. So at these times, what are you going to do in that situation? You gotta ask through the Spirit, which is the Scriptures and the Holy Spirit, the Scriptures, and you gotta pray for the Most High to provide you with additional help in getting answers to get through something in your life that you may not even understand on how to ask for. I just know I don't feel right. So we ask people questions like, hey, did you ever go through what I'm going through? How did you get through it? And I'm expecting a easy step, 1, 2, 3 step on how to get through this. And that's not always provided from somebody else. That's not always provided from the people around me. Because sometimes you may be going through something that the Most High hasn't had the person next to you go through. And that person may not, but that doesn't mean that my situation is hopeless. I like that scripture. You bring that up.
God.
Somebody read James chapter 1 verse 5.
James chapter 1 verse 5.
Hold that in Romans. Go ahead.
If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of the Most High.
And wisdom is the correct way to get through something. And you're going to go there in life. There's going to be wrath, anger, strife, tribulation. There's even going to be adultery. You never know. But whatever the case may be, you need the wisdom to get through it. He said, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask. Go ahead.
That giveth to all men liberally.
The Most High giveth to all men liberally. Read on.
And upbraideth not.
And he doesn't hold back. The Most High doesn't hold back his wisdom. Go ahead.
And it shall be given him.
And it shall be what?
And it shall be given him.
Go ahead.
But let him ask it in faith.
He said, but let him ask in what?
In faith.
That means you got to have there has to be an element of belief that the Most High can help me. That my situation is not hopeless. So that you don't be a quitter. Because when people don't feel like they have an adequate answer to a situation, they go seek their own remedies, they go seek their own problem-solving methods, and they cast the Bible away.
Right.
And they become proactive in their own choices and decisions. So, go back to Romans chapter 8 and finish 26 where we was at. Yes, sir.
Just for those that can't convey their issues, it also helps to write them out so that they can be assisted.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, you know, when your mind is in neither world, because you've experienced adultery, because it'll send your mind into another planet, you don't know how to think. You don't know what to think, neither do you know what to do. There's a lot of perplexion of thoughts, confusion of thoughts. I thought this person cared. I thought this person loved me. Why me? Why do I have to go through this? There's 1,000 questions. And you know what? You want 1,000 answers. And some of them answers ain't good enough.
Yeah, like those people that I'd rather text and talk, like those kind of people that can express themselves better via text or writing out.
Right. Or some conversations need to be discussed and not just sent through a text message.
Right.
Read.
Likewise, the Spirit also helpeth our infirmities.
For what? Read on.
For we know not what we should pray for.
When you're going through a situation like adultery, and you don't know if this is the Most High telling you, maybe this is a sign to let this person go, or maybe this is a sign to give this person another chance. You don't know. All you know is you're hurt. All you know, you got all these feelings that you don't want to feel. And you don't know if this is a good thing, a bad thing. You don't know if this is right, this is wrong. You don't know if this was, why this happened to me, why do I got to go through this?
You emotionally scarred.
Yeah, you're emotionally scarred. You can't sleep, you're sensitive. So you don't know what it is that the Most High got you going through, but you know you're going through it. He said that's when the Spirit come in. That's when the assistance of the Most High steps into play. Read on.
As we ought, but the Spirit itself maketh intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered.
Read on.
And he that searcheth the hearts knoweth what is the mind of the Spirit, because he maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of the Most High.
Now, who's that person intercessing between us and the Most High?
Christ.
That's Christ. That's Christ giving us assistance in ways that we didn't know we need. And that's why we should be praying earnestly that the Most High give us assistance. In a situation of turmoil or adultery or infidelity, and I thought that and the trust is broken, I don't know what I'm doing. It throws me out of space with the person that I thought I had a bond with. So I need additional help. Then I should be studying, I should be praying, and I should be asking the Most High for understanding of this situation. Because you know, if you keep asking the Most High enough and you're sincere about it, He'll deliver a revelation of why you're having to go through it. Sometimes it's just as simple as Romans 10 and 13, which is what?
Romans chapter 10 and verse 13. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Most High shall be saved.
Hold on 1 second. He said, I didn't hit the wrong damn button right. Hold on 1 second. All right, go ahead.
How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed?
He said, how then shall they call on him whom they've not what?
Believed.
Go ahead. Where you at right now? You in
verse Romans 10 and 14.
I want you to read 10 and 13. 10 and 13. Read that.
Come.
No,
Romans chapter 10 and verse 13.
I said it wrong. 1 Corinthians 10 and 13. My apologies. I'm gonna go to Romans in chapter 10 in a second.
10 and 13.
1 Corinthians 10 and 13. Yes, sir.
1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13.
Read that.
There have no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man.
If you go through adultery and have to experience that, are you gonna be the first person to go through it? Are you the only person, male or female, having to deal with it? No. He said that you have to sometimes just take it as, you know what, I'm not the only one, and this is common. This is something that everybody has to deal with, or I'm not the only one that dealt with this situation. Because when you're going through it, it feels like it's the worst thing in the world. And why me? Why do I have to suffer this feeling? Why do I have to go through this? Why did the Most High put me through this? Well, you know what? You're not the only one. And there's other people that's going through it, have been through it. And if you ask the Most High enough to explain the situation to you, give you understanding of why you're going through it, He will. Read on.
But the Most High is faithful.
But the Most High, a lot of times you got to just know that the Most High has me going through this so I can learn to depend on who? So I can learn to depend on Him. See, the Most High will give us experience in life that we're not ready for sometimes. Although it's not uncommon, we're just not ready for it. It caught us off guard. Mm-hmm. But these experiences that catch you off guard, there's for a reason. They're made to make you attach yourself to the Most High tighter than you would have been had you not gone through the situation. And I'll prove that. Somebody else give me 2 Corinthians chapter 1 and read verse 8.
2 Corinthians.
Hold where we at right there, Kariah.
2 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 8. For we would not, brethren, have you ignorant.
He said, I don't want you to be ignorant. Read on.
Of our trouble, which came to us in Asia.
So this is Paul telling the church, listen, I'm telling y'all what I'm going through so y'all understand what I'm going through. Read on.
That we were pressed out of measure.
He says we were what?
Pressed out of measure.
Meaning we were down on our last luck. We were down bad with little to sustain us. Read on.
Above strength, in so much that we despaired even of life.
It says that we what?
Despaired even of life.
Go ahead.
But
that means that we were in critical danger of losing our life. Read on.
But we had the sentence of death.
He says we had the what?
Sentence of death.
It says we were close to death. Read on.
In ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves, but in the Most High, which raiseth the dead.
Why is Paul sharing his experiences with the church in Corinth?
To remind them to stay faithful and stay strong.
He's saying that I'm sharing this situation that we're in now, so that you can understand our thought process. I'm sharing with you the experience that I'm going through, to where I'm pressed without measure. Meaning we're running out of everything necessary for survival, and we're on our last leg over here, and we've received the sentence of death, but not to despair you or to make you lose your faith. But I'm telling you why we're going through this, because I'm telling you what it is, where our mind is at. Paul has concluded that this sentence of death that he received was to make his faith stronger in the Most High. You understand that?
Showing them that they're not alone.
Showing them that they're not alone. That when you do go to the point where you're at a loss, that this loss was made for you to connect to the Most High, to bridge your relationship tighter. That's why David said in Psalms 18 and 6. Somebody else read that real quick in Psalms 18 and 6.
Psalms chapter 18 and verse 6.
Page 278.
Whenever you're ready.
Read that.
In my distress, I called upon the Most High.
Because in your distress, you're supposed to do what?
Call the Most High.
So if I go through adultery, and the Most High chose me to go through it, what am I supposed to do while I go through it?
Cry to the Most High.
I'm supposed to call to the Most High and cry to the Most High. So every situation that you go through that's uncomfortable, it's not made to destroy you, but it's made for you to learn that you need the Most High even that much more. And that you should make an attachment with the Father that much more. That you should create a bond with the Father that much more. That you should become dependent upon the Most High that much more. That's what the situation is made for. If you pray enough, if you ask the Most High enough for the understanding of why am I going through what I'm going through? Well, the Most High wants you to lean on Him. He wants you to put your trust in Him. He's teaching you through this situation that you need to be dependent upon Him more than you trust you. That's why I said what? Read that again in Psalms.
Come. Psalms chapter 18 and verse 6. In my distress I called upon the Most High and cried unto my power. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him.
And my cry reached him. Now go back to where we at in 1 Corinthians 1 and read 8 through 10.
1 Corinthians.
2
Corinthians.
Come. 2 Corinthians 1 and verse 8. For we would not, brethren, have you ignorant of our trouble which came to us in Asia.
Go ahead.
That we were pressed out of measure, above strength, insomuch that we despaired even our life. But we had the sentence of death in ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves.
So the Most High put us in a situation to teach us not to what?
Not to trust in ourselves.
Not for you to trust in you. That's why the Most High got you going through things that you can't explain, that are uncomfortable, that catch you off guard. Because he needs to teach you through this situation, not for you to trust in you. So if we didn't have these situations, this tribulation, or these things that hit us, that great travail, who would we believe in?
Ourselves.
You will believe in you. And you will believe in you only.
Curses the man that
trusted in man and make it flesh his arm. So that's why the Most High has these off the wall circumstances that's set for every man. Because you know what? You need something to pull away the fact that you're in control. And you need a situation to take you out of your comfort zone, because your comfort zone is you only trusting in you. But when a situation like adultery hit your house, it's not always for your destruction. It's not always to destroy you. But sometimes you have to constitute the situation like Paul constituted his situation. I need this situation to be at a point where I receive the sentence of death. I need this situation. Because without it, I wouldn't have that much faith in the Lord. I need this situation. That's a lot of times you have to take adultery that way. I need this situation. Because my trust don't need to be in man as much as it needs to be in who?
Most High.
The Most High. And the Most High chose me to have to go through this, to increase my faith in Him. You have to constitute all tribulation that way. You have to constitute all trouble that way.
Necessary element.
I'm looking for the lesson. I'm looking for the lesson in the tribulation. I'm looking for the understanding in the midst of the tribulation, in the midst of the pain. He says, so I know that it wasn't me that got me through this. He said what? Read on.
That we should not trust in ourselves, but in the Most High.
That's why the Most High, sometimes it's just that simple. I just got to go through it, even though I don't want to, and it kills me to have to know that now there's a breach in my relationship and my bond. But the Most High got me in it because He's teaching me something through it. There's something to learn in the midst of tribulation. Yeah, that's good. Read it.
Con. Proverbs chapter 15 and 28.
Yeah, read it.
Con. The heart of the righteous studieth to answer.
Go ahead.
But the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things.
So they said the heart of the righteous studieth for what?
The answer. Studieth the lesson.
I'm studying to find an answer. I'm studying to find an answer why I'm going through what I'm going through. And a lot of times it just simply the Most High wants me to have more faith in Him. And that's the answer. And that's why I'm going through it. And that's why I have to deal with it. Because you know what the Most High wants also? Somebody else get 2 Corinthians 6 and 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 4. Somebody else read that.
2 Corinthians 6 and verse 4. But in all things.
It said, but in all things. Go ahead.
Approving ourselves.
Stop right there. He said, the Most High said, in all things. Approving what?
Ourselves.
He says, in all things, approving ourselves. Go ahead.
As the ministers of the Most High.
So, how are you approved that you're a minister of the Most High without no test? How are you going to prove yourself as a minister of the Most High and there's no tribulation?
Okay.
How are you going to approve of yourself that you believe in the Most High and you're faithful in the eyes of the Most High, you trust the Most High if you're not in a situation where you don't have control.
He basically saying without experience, if you don't experience this.
That's exactly what he's saying. James 2:20. Somebody read that. That's exactly what he's telling us. What is your ministry without no battles?
James chapter 2 and verse 20.
Read that.
But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead?
He said faith without what?
Is dead.
He said faith without what?
Faith without works is dead.
So how are you going to approve of your ministry and that you're this minister of the Most High, but you don't got no works? You have no situations that force you to be dependent upon the Most High and the Most High only.
You don't have no testimonies.
You don't got no testimonies. You have no experiences. That's why he said, oh vain man, then it's vanity for to think that you're this servant of the Most High and you're this minister, but you ain't been through no battles. And control has never been stripped from you. And you've never been perplexed in this feeling. He said you gotta go through some works. That's what Paul is explaining. Read on in James.
Was not Abraham our father justified by works?
He said, now I'm going to give you an example as evidence of what it means to be approving yourself as a minister of the Most High. Let's look at Abraham, for example. What about Abraham? Read on.
When he had offered Isaac, his son, upon the altar.
What did the Most High cause Abraham to do?
Offered Isaac, his son, upon the altar.
For what purpose in 2 Corinthians?
God.
You was 6 and 4.
God. 2 Corinthians 6 and 4. I had switched to the verse slide.
Page 50.
But in all things, go ahead, give them this.
No, page 557.
Read
in the
that.
Blue Book.
Read
2
that right
Corinthians 6 and 4. But in all things, approving ourselves as the ministers of the Most High.
What do you think the Most High was doing with Abraham? Approving of his ministry. Approving himself. Forcing him to prove himself that he believes. A minister is a servant of the Most High. Yes, sir.
Definition of approve.
Go ahead.
To prove, to show to be true, or to justify.
To show to be true. How do you know that Abraham believed in the Most High? What did the Most High cause Abraham to have to go through? Read that in James.
In verse 21. Was not Abraham our father justified by works?
Didn't he approve himself? By what?
When he had offered Isaac.
So when the Most High told Abraham in the morning, I want you to go to the mount. I don't know if it was Mount Moriah or Sinai. I forgot which one it was. He said, go up to the mount and I want you to offer your son as a sacrifice to me. That's not in the law. There's no law for that. There's no commandment for that. But you know what the Most High wanted to know? I need to see your faith in me is true.
Mm-hmm.
So you know the outcome was? Read on.
It says, seest thou how faith wrought with his works?
Don't you see how Abraham proved that he was a minister of the Most High through his what?
And by works was faith made perfect?
So he showed you that he believed through his works. It wasn't by his mouth. You know what the Most High watched? The Most High sent Abraham through a test. And then he sat back and observed his behavior while undergoing the test. While undergoing the approval process.
His actions.
I'm judging their actions. So you know what? So if I'm in a situation where I'm experienced adultery, you know what the Most High is doing with me? He's judging my actions through the adultery. Let me see what you're going to do. Let me see how you behave yourself. Let me see how you conduct yourself at this point. Let me see what feelings are on your mind. Let me see where your mind goes. Let me see if you're going to hold on to me or call on me even that much more. Or you're going to blame me for the fact that you're in a situation where your love and trust was broken. Now it's my fault. Because that's what we do with the Most High. We blame the Most High for when things go wrong in our life. Why'd you do this, Lord? Why'd you have this person Why, if you didn't want me to be there, why fall in love? I wasted my time. I wasted years. I invested a lot. I lost a lot. Why are you playing games with me? That's what we do. We blame the Most High. Abraham didn't do that. No, the Most High send you through tribulation and situations because He's judging your behavior in the process to prove if you're a minister of Him, if you believe or not. That's why you go through what you go through that's unexplainable. And sometimes there's no answers for. Because sometimes there is no answers. But the Most High want to know, even through the situation that you feel like, I can't explain, I'm just hurting, what are you going to do about it? How do you deal with it? That's what the Most High wants to know. Read on.
Come. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed.
It said the scripture was fulfilled that Abraham believed. Read on.
The Most High.
How do we know that Abraham believed the Most High? Read on.
And it was imputed unto him for righteousness.
Because of this man's actions when the Most High told him to put your son on that altar and sacrifice your son to me, your firstborn. That, when you read about Abraham, he didn't have any children. And that was his concern. Around Genesis 16 and 17. That was his main concern. That he was going to be childless. And here it is. He finally got the child that he asked for, that he prayed for. And the Most High said, I want him.
It was the one that he loved, right?
It was the one.
It was saying that he loved Isaac.
No. It's the one he prayed for.
Okay, cool.
And then he had Ishmael first.
He did
with the servant.
Yeah, but he was content with Ishmael. But Ishmael didn't come from Sarah. That was a hustle that they did.
That was a promise.
That was some backdoor wisdom. Just take my handmaid. That was the Most High putting that up. That was her decision. Take my handmaid since I can't bear children. That was a move made out of desperation.
When she had finally got the son, she was like, yeah, they both got it.
But you know what the Most High wanted to know? I done gave you what you wanted. Now I'm going to use it against you to see if you love me or not.
To prove.
As proof. And I'm monitoring your behavior while you go through it. That's why I said Abraham passed that test.
And he was called the friend of the Most High.
And because he passed the test, Abraham got the title as being what?
The friend of the Most High.
So now, Hebrews chapter 13 verse 4, we read it earlier. Go back to it.
Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 4 reads, marriage is honorable in all.
Yeah, man. So marriage is honorable. That doesn't mean be dishonorable in marriage. Just because somebody's supposed to forgive you or Christ gave you a second chance. You're not supposed to defile the bed either. But if it just so happens to happen to you, you still have to know how to deal with it and conduct yourself and get some understanding of why the Most High got me going through it and what mentality I'm supposed to have while I'm undergoing a situation that I don't want to be in. Because a lot of us are going to go through great travail that we're not prepared for. But we still need some knowledge on how to conduct ourselves. Read on.
And the bed undefiled.
So what happens when the bed does get defiled? Read on.
But whoremongers and adulterers, the Most High will judge.
So that's the person that defiled the bed, the Most High got to deal with that. That's not my problem. I gotta stay trustworthy, blameless, and honest in my behavior. It's not I'm gonna get you back. Two can play at that game. You did it to me, so I'm gonna do it to you. I want revenge. Scripture say, "Avenge not yourselves." He said, "For vengeance is mine; I shall repay," said the Lord. That's not me to get you back because you hurt me. Now we in this duel of who can hurt who the most. Since you want to do that, I'm gonna go do this. It's not the two can play that game. Read on.
Let your conversation be without covetousness.
So you know what? If I gotta go through it, I stay blameless. Read on.
And be content with such things as ye have.
Read on.
For he hath said, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee.
So even if I am going through a situation of infidelity, I gotta stay blameless because the Most High said what?
I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee.
I gotta hold on to my relationship with the Most High, no matter what. I can't control what other people do. I can't control other people's fidelity. or infidelity. I can't control other people's sin or lust. I can't control that, but I can control me. So this is the mind frame I'm supposed to have. Read on.
For that we may boldly say.
So that we may boldly say, even if I'm going through something that I don't want to be in. Read on.
The Most High is my helper.
Who is my helper?
The Most High.
So who am I supposed to be leaning on no matter what?
The Most High.
So I can boldly say that the Most High is my helper. Now what happens when I develop that confidence to be able to say, and that testimony to say the Most High can help me through everything? What do I do with that testimony? Anybody?
You share it.
Share it.
You teach other men also.
I share it.
2 Timothy.
Read it.
Okay.
Read that, my one. You got it.
Come. 2 Timothy chapter 2 and 2. And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men.
You committed to who?
Faithful men.
Who can do what?
Who shall be able to teach others also.
And I'm able to teach others to put their trust in who?
In the Most High.
To put their faith in who?
In the Most High.
That who's faithful?
The Most High.
That the Most High is faithful. That I'm supposed to call on the Most High in my distress, no matter what I go through. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3.
2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 3.
It's in the blue book of 559, page 559 in the blue book.
Hold on. You know what? Hold on. Wait a minute. Read that. Hold on. Go ahead and read that real quick.
2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh.
Read on.
For the weapons of our war are not carnal, but mighty.
So I'm not going to fight this person physically because there was infidelity. I'm not going to physically go at it with this person. He said I'm supposed to recognize that every battle is what?
Spiritual.
Every battle is spiritual. And I have to have a spiritual solution for every spiritual battle. And I got to seek spiritual answers. And ultimately I have to conclude that I'm going through this situation, although it may be uncomfortable, although it may be painful, although it may feel unjust. I have to go through the situation and I have to cleave unto the Most High, and that's the lesson.
Basically seeing the spirit behind the situation.
Absolutely. I can see the spiritual side of the situation, and I should be looking for the spiritual answer in every situation that's painful. There is a spiritual answer. You just have to be looking for it. You got to pursue it. Now there's more we can go into about because adultery is not just between a man and a woman. Mm-hmm. It's also spiritual fornication and idolatry, and we'll save that. We got a whole nother class on that aspect. But I think that's enough for tonight on this particular point. Any questions? All right, let's go ahead and get out. Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Shalom, and we'll see you again on Friday. Yes, sir.
No, I'll take it.
All right, we'll see you again on Friday. Let's go ahead and set the prayer up. Amanjabo Punawakwadam, rise and face the east. All right, we're just gonna set up a prayer. Let's go ahead and read Matthew chapter 6 verse 9 on down. Let's read the Lord's Prayer real quick. We're gonna say the Lord's Prayer in English and in Hebrew. Let's go ahead and say the Lord's Prayer. Somebody get 1 Corinthians 11 real quick. Chapter 4.
Matthew chapter 6 and verse 9. Right.
Mm-hmm.
1 Corinthians 11 and verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered.
So if you got a hat on, a man got a hat on, go ahead and take your hat off. Because he said every man that prophesied or praying, having his head covered. Go ahead.
Dishonors his head.
So we don't want nobody to dishonor their head. The head is Christ, right? So we don't want nobody to dishonor Christ, because that's our head is supposed to be uncovered as men, because Christ is our head. He's our head. He's our leader. All right. So so if you got your head covered, yeah, go ahead and take it off. The water for men and for sisters. Read on.
But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered,
So if you're a sister, go ahead and put a scarf or cover your head. Go ahead.
dishonoreth her head.
And her head is a man, because the head of every woman is a man. So it's all about respect. So with that, let's go ahead and go to Matthew chapter 6 verse 9. Let's read that in English, and we're going to say that in Hebrew.
Matthew chapter 6 in verse 9 reads, After this manner therefore pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but to deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
All right, amen. So we're going to say it in Hebrew. Yahweh Shem El Shai.
Yahweh Shem El Shai.
Shemana
Shemana Nawa.
Aita.
Aita.
Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Bashemayim.
Bashemayim.
Kodash.
Kodash.
Ayah.
Ayah.
Shemka.
Shemka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malak with Ka.
Malak with Ka.
Taba'ah.
Taba'ah.
Tazaka.
Tazaka.
Ayah.
Ayah.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Baratazah.
Baratazah.
Kawa. Ayah.
Ayah.
Bashemayim.
Bashemayim.
Tananawa.
Tananawa.
Kom.
Kom.
Ho.
Kom.
Yawam. Wasalachanawa.
Wasalachanawa.
Wathnawa.
Wathnawa.
Wasalachanawa.
Wasalachanawa.
Wathinawa.
Wathinawa.
Wala'ah.
Wala'ah.
Tabiyanawa.
One.
Bo. Shanawa.
Mayan.
Rai. Kaya. Maka. Amalakwa. Wala'ala. Watapara. Aman. So we said the Lord's Prayer in English and in Hebrew. So now we're going to ask the Most High, in the name of Christ, to bless and watch over all the schools scattered throughout the four corners. So we're going to ask the Most High to bless and watch over all the schools in the four corners of the world. So we're facing the east. So then we're going to go to the south, then we're going to go to the west, then we're going to go to the north. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Basham.
Basham.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Rakanawa. Washala.
Washala.
Habiyath.
Habiyath.
Sapari.
Sapari.
Turn. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Basham.
Basham.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Rakanawa.
Rakanawa.
Washala.
Washala.
Habiyath.
Habiyath.
Sapari.
Sapari.
Turn. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Basham.
Basham.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Rakanawa.
Rakanawa.
Washala.
Washala.
Habiyath.
Habiyath.
Sapari.
Sapari.
Turn. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Basham.
Basham.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Rakanawa.
Rakanawa.
Washala.
Washala.
Habiyath.
Habiyath.
Sapari.
Sapari.
All right, so why we say this in Hebrew? Get the prologue of Ecclesiasticus real quick. Why do we recant the prayer in Hebrew as well as English? Prologue of Ecclesiasticus.
Prologue of Ecclesiasticus.
Straight to the point.
Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words and seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew,
It says, because the same things uttered in Hebrew, go ahead.
and translated into another tongue.
So when you take Hebrew, the Bible was written in Hebrew and Greek. So when you take something from Hebrew and translate it out of Hebrew into another language, read on.
Have not the same force.
It loses force. That's why we say the prayers in Hebrew, because we don't want to diminish any of the impact and the power of our prayers. Because like David said in Psalms, when he prays to the Most High, it entereth into his chambers. And the Most High hears our prayers all the way to the height of heaven. So we don't want to lose any of the impact that our prayers have while we pray to the Most High. So that's why any other language outside of Hebrew is a weaker language. And some of the words and the power doesn't translate. Read on.
Have not the same force in them.
It doesn't have the same what?
Same force.
So
in
English prayers does not have the same force as Hebrew prayers. Hebrew prayers are more powerful and have more impact and have more relevance than English prayers. Read on.
And not only these things, but the law itself.
When you read the law in Hebrew, it's more powerful. Read on.
And the prophets.
And when you read the prophets, it's more powerful when you read it in Hebrew. Read on.
And the rest of the book.
And the New Testament, which is written in Greek, but it's more powerful in Hebrew. Read on.
Have no small difference.
It's weaker. Read on.
When they are spoken in their own language.
So it's better to speak in Hebrew as much as possible. because it's more impactful and powerful. And this is why we read in Hebrew. All right, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, the Wadi Yahweh, the Wadi Yahushai, all knowledge, all wisdom, all power, all praise, all mercy, all love, all forgiveness, all power, from Yahweh, all power, from Yahweh, all power, from Yahweh. In Yahushua's name we pray.
In Yahushua's name we pray.
The water.
The water.
The Yah.
The Yah.
Aman.
Aman.
Yahweh is how you say God in Hebrew. All right. It's the Most High in Hebrew. So you say Yahweh. So that's why we say His name in Hebrew, because it's more powerful than just saying it in English. God in English. All right. Brothers, circle up. Sisters, have a seat. Now, the scriptures say salute one another with a holy kiss, but we will salute each other not with a kiss, but with a salute. Asking the Most High in a prayer to bless each brother, and the Most High in the name of Christ to bless the men, and the men are going to return that blessing. Go ahead, my woman.
Saluting out in the heavenly order, Yahweh, Why Yahushai, Wakar Yasharal, men of Israel, Mud, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barakah, Kwam Yasharal, Kwam Yasharal, Kwam Yasharal, Kwam Yasharal, Kwam Yasharal, Kwam Yasharal.
Turn to face the sisters.
Yazmatah.
Yazmatah.
Turn to face the sisters. So we're going to ask the Most High to bless and watch over the sisters. Most High in the name of Christ to bless and watch over the sisters, and they're going to return that prayer back to us in Hebrew. Go ahead.
Saluting out the daughters of Zion, men of Israel, Mud, Barak, Yahweh Shema,
Yazmatah. Dismissed. Fall out. All right, so shalom, brothers and sisters. We'll see y'all again on Friday. Stay strong and stay safe. Stay prayed up. Stay diligent. Stay faithful. Shalom.